of it is brand new or the best that money can buy. It is equipment needed to get the job done, right? My biggest splurge was the sound phone that my kitten now climbs up every night because apparently that's fun. But this cost me, what, $300? You know, those are what those of us have to do. You know, we make do with what we have. And then, of course, there are those who spare no expense or give no thought to the fact that their first-class comfort is paid for by we, the taxpayers. Because, again, are we all in this together?
No, like because your taxes are not what pays for it. No, no. The budget process creates the money. Essentially, it's a loan. Your taxes are just sprinkled on top because you keep agreeing to pay them. The vast majority of the money that covers the payments on the borrowed money, the money created by the budget process, the money created by GST payment warrants, they are not checks. The money's created when you endorse it. Comes from the Indian Capital Trust account. So no, we are not all in this together when you keep pretending it's the taxpayer. We can't get clean water for those living on First Nations reserves. Indians can't get clean water, bitch. Has nothing to do with you. And we pay cash for water, healthcare, electricity, everything. They won't let us have a 3-phase line. They charge us for 3 single-phase lines. It's not the same thing. And each one costs more than a 3-phase line. For example, it all gets paid in cash, all of it. Your taxes do not contribute anything to First Nations communities, not 1 penny. They love telling you that, so you yell at us about it. It's not your money. $2 trillion, more than the national debt, is sitting in bank accounts resident in the UK right now.
Can't overstate this enough. Ontario and Quebec will be in utter chaos. We're talking 50% of our energy completely gone. So you want to fill up at the gas tank? Good luck. You want to take a flight out of Pearson? That will not happen because that's where the fuel.
50% of our energy comes from there, eh? No.
Certainly will when you want to get out of here, when you finally get some freedom. But it will be chaos because it'll drive up prices on everything. So what happens then?
Again, they're going to say competition lowers prices, restricting the sales, increases price. That's not what does it. You're paying what you agree to pay, just like the taxes. That's your fault.
Of thousands of 18-wheelers jamming up the 401, jamming up the border. It will involve boats having to take it up the St. Lawrence or through the Great Lakes. It will involve railway cars. It will be messy. It will be polluting, and it will be expensive.
So the oil leaking out of the pipe now is clean. Okay. So oil leaking out of a pipeline is clean. Oil on trains and trucks is dirty. Eh? Do you know what happens if a truck or a train or a barrel gets loose or leaks? Only the amount that's in it can possibly leak out. You know what happens when a pipeline leaks? It leaks for 75 years. There's no leak detectors on a pipeline. At most, they'll have pressure drop indicators. You know what happens if the pressure drops? They increase the pressure of the pump. That's it. And by the way, one pipeline does not run gasoline, diesel, crude oil, and natural gas and propane in both directions at the same time all day. That's not how a pipeline works. That would be 10 different pipelines.
Don't think that they're not saying, good luck. All of this could have been avoided if we just built Energy East pipeline. All of this could have been avoided if we were energy independent. We can argue.
The one thing, the first part's not true. The second part's not anything to do with the first part.
Let's go green, but that's not going to happen for a very long time. But what we need.
Okay, so she's presenting a bunch of false narratives. If we had built this, we're going to lose all this because you're doing this. And if we had just built this other polluting pipe, no, the one's got nothing to do with the other. Absolutely nothing. Oh, and if we went green, what does green mean to these people? There's a catchphrase like recycling. Go look up what recycling means. It does not mean melting down a piece of plastic and turning it into a new one. No, it doesn't. She's going to present all sorts of false narratives to favor the white misogynist point of view. Watch. And there'll even be a little bit of pedophilia in here, I guarantee. She'll comment something about how she's the good type of girl and some other type of girl might have asked for that type of attention. I guarantee, listen.
News radio.
And now it's time to go out and take a look at the roads with chopper traffic. Here's Ari Rabinovich.
And those earlier problems on the East 401 collectors in West End long since clear.
And notice what she says, if we had just built the Energy East pipeline, So you're on the side of the private conglomerate that's trying to steal things from my people and commit genocide against my people. If all the Indians are dead, then there's nobody living to make a claim. And what the rule of law says, you got to be alive to make a claim. Except in the Netherlands, where they're still arguing over the few guilders left in the bank accounts of those who got turned over to the Nazis. To this day, they're still fighting over it. You're not going to pull this off, bitch. If we had built the Energy East pipeline, I forget which company that is, because there's so many of these pipelines. It's not a government thing, is it? Why aren't you talking about the pipeline through the Wet'suwet'en? You're gonna sell natural gas from boats to China, who has no interest in buying it from you. And you're gonna get the natural gas by destroying the land on the other end of the country. And we keep telling you, putting explosives under the ground there ain't gonna help you get natural. You won't be able to tap the natural gas. The land is completely porous all the way down.
We are Toronto's news talk leader.
Roberto Alomar, enshrined as one of the great Blue Jays of all times, and certainly instrumental in their 2 championships, facing sexual misconduct allegations while working in the commissioner's office. This is interesting. If he had been working in the prime minister's office, we wouldn't know about it.
The John Oakley Show.
Sponsored by LG Home Comfort, weekdays at 3.
Or anytime from Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are 640 Toronto.
At True Tone Electronics, we know this has been a difficult time for everyone. Your safety is our #1 priority. Our showroom is currently closed, but our professional staff are available via email at sales@truetone.ca or by phone at 905-270-3440 to answer any questions. Please visit truetone.ca to place your orders. We're offering curbside pickup at our location at 980 Dundas Street, Easton, Mississauga.
How is it misogynistic and white supremacist for a woman to say, we could have built this pipeline? Man camps. You know what happens around man camps? They build them on our land. They're constantly killing or incarcerating the men and even the young boys. And then the women start getting gang raped. And I'm supposed to go, oh, that's okay. You're right. You should have built that pipeline. You won't police yourselves as we police ourselves. So, yeah, she's siding with the rapist. The investigations have been done. It's a known fact that this is what happens around these facilities. It's a known fact. It's part and parcel of trying to get the resources. It's no different than GOON, goon. I forget what GO stands for. It's something Ogala Nation, trying to get the uranium off of the land that they agreed belonged to Ogala Sioux, and then never registered it, and then spent about 50 years trying to kill them off, because in 42 the land was set aside. In 44 a plane flew over and discovered, oh shit, the richest uranium deposits in the United States are on Oglala Sioux land. Oh, some Chomo's getting mad, which is why I'm not hell-bent on stopping the mining and processing of the fuel here, because what will happen if we, oh, this is bad, we're going to stop completely. The Americans are going to go in and kill a whole bunch of Oglala Sioux, thinking that they're going to get the uranium. You're not, because I'll fucking murk every last one of you. You can ask Selwyn. Go look up Selwyn. Big bad motherfuckers from Texas. What you doing now? Pussies. Bitching about your hydro bill and some snow, eh?
Are you almost done?
You know who else makes it snow besides me? The Chinese army.
You and moms, so they understand saving money on energy. That's why if you're not...
They understand saving money on energy. Turn off the air. That will save money on energy. They're a mom, so they know automatically. No, they don't. Again, false narratives in every fucking
Visit
commercial.
lghomecomfort.ca to learn more.
They know a
As
thing
business
about
owner,
saving
you
energy.
need a one-stop solution.
Who's the least capable person of figuring out with the energy leaks and losses? The people that have been fucking up the last 100 years, right? So because you're older, you know better. Obviously, you know.
Cloud solutions.
You all do that. White people all do that. You know.
Support. Email anytime.
You got that crackhead
at
shoulder move.
itsupportshow.com.
Help at itsupportshow.com.
When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, you get to talk to a real person who can provide tailored solutions that don't fit every small business, they fit yours. That's what it means to really listen. For solutions powered by Intel vPro platform, call an advisor at 310 Dell.
We have to play this white people hard rock, so they'll side with us on the pipeline against the Indians. Remember, every single thing she's presented so far, she's only been on the air 14 minutes tonight, has had blacks and natives on the other end of it. If they would just get out of the goddamn way, it's not going to happen, bitch. You think hiding in your son's closet going to help you? Oh, this is good now. There's no signal at all from the radio station. We just get cut off. Oh, this is good. This is real helpful.
So I was curious this morning of what would be the government's obligation. You know, if they offered us AstraZeneca but then changed the rules along the way, are they?
They're not obligated to provide you anything.
Promised, or can they just change?
They offered you something and you said, "I want it."
I'm Amir Adrine, professor of law and medicine at the University of Ottawa, and also a guy trained in epidemiology. Hello there.
Also a guy trained in epidemiology. He's not an epidemiologist. He didn't study epidemiology, but he's a guy who received some type of training. I mean, some other guy read something to him, eh?
I would have waited for the mRNA had I known this would happen, but for those of us who took the AZ,
mRNA, you fucking retard.
Let's stick with it. Why should we be expected to mix things up?
I agree with you, and I was really horrified to hear the clip you played from Christine Elliott, the health minister.
I'll put it to you this way.
Not telling the truth,
they keep saying
Alex. There is not scientific
NRA, National Rifle Association. Oh, Chomo's getting mad. Chomo is getting so mad right now.
That is completely false. Now, that research is being done.
But if you play from Christine Elliott, the health minister, she was not telling the truth,
National Rifle Association.
There is not scientific evidence to show that you can mix.
Hey, sweetie, say this thing wrong today. Okay, daddy.
Equivalent outcome.
They all do the same fucking thing where they wouldn't be allowed on the air. They would not be allowed to have the job if they didn't do it.
And with any luck,
hey, you notice all these girls' last names is the same as the station managers?
We already
Did you notice
know
that?
This is an acceptable way to proceed is actually not scientifically correct. And because of that,
well, let me stop you there though, because the Lancet, I mean, and it happened very late today, so there's certainly not any data available to Canada, but the Lancet journal just published a study, a preliminary study with very early results from the UK, and it's showing that if you mix different COVID vaccines, what they found is that it hikes the person's chance of having mild or moderate reactions.
They published a review of the results of a study. You're not doing research by reading it. They did research, you're reading it. In fact, you're reading the review of the research.
For that sort of certainty, you need to measure protective efficacy over a period of time, and that is being done. But one is counting the chickens before they hatch to say that mixing and matching works or is desirable. There have been other vaccines in the past where mixing and matching worked perfectly fine. These are, for the most part, experimental vaccines. There are others for which mixing and matching worked nicely if you did it in the correct order. And there are others where it didn't work or was even damaging. And so this is the space of possibilities. Everything from it'll be just fine to being not fine at all. I don't think it is ethical where those uncertainties exist to tell Canadians in a paternalistic kind of way, we gave you the AstraZeneca vaccine, and now whether you like it or not, you'll get something else. I think that is completely
because she's a fucking puppet, or she wouldn't be allowed to have the job. Just like all the women hosts at CRI. I'm pointing at CRI.
About their choices. Do you want to take a second AstraZeneca shot?
Read. Reading's bad for your eyes. In bright light, it's bad. In dark light, it's bad. In medium light, it's bad. In blue light, it's bad. Outside is bad, and inside is bad. Don't read. Remember that? CRI. All the women on CRI
right,
say
and I want to make sure our listeners know in no way are you an anti-vaxxer. In fact, you have said take the AstraZeneca shot. It's a decent shot. And then I think it's interesting because where did these vaccines come from? I mean, are they from India, where maybe they don't have the same regulations in place, or are they from a facility in the United States that has been plagued by regulation issues and quality
You think
issues?
India has no regulations, but the U.S. is safe for vaccines?
You might know if you asked your pharmacist when you got the first dose. Otherwise, that chance has been missed. Canada's been getting
because it all got
AstraZeneca
thrown in the incinerator because
not
it's
from
hazardous waste.
AstraZeneca directly,
If they drop a vial of
but from
5/6 doses on the
contractors.
floor, they're
One
required
in
to call the
India
bomb
and another
squad, the
one in
hazardous
Baltimore. The one in Baltimore
materials
has
unit.
been absolutely slammed for quality problems, and that is another problem that has snuck onto the stage in Canada. The Americans.
So what happened? So what happened at that plant? They mixed up AstraZeneca single shot doses and Johnson & Johnson single shot doses, and that's danger or whatever the fuck, and that's dangerous. And now, or whatever the fuck it was, and now they want you to mix them in your body, right after they destroyed 50 million doses. Consider that.
About the AstraZeneca vaccine along the way. What I think is the least bad outcome is to get more of the AstraZeneca vaccine and let people
one of these
choose
assholes
if
trying to
they
tell me he's a
want
U.S.
that one or
Marine
if they
now.
want
So that
Pfizer
gives
or
me
Moderna
jurisdiction
for their
over him,
second
man.
dose. That to me seems right.
He must be a draft
Personally,
dodger.
if I
I'll
had
just
a
cap him,
single
sir. Don't
dose of
worry.
AstraZeneca, I would feel more comfortable continuing with AstraZeneca for the
He's
second
drunk
shot.
out his mind out front of a
Well,
daycare.
that's how I feel. I think most people feel that, I'll take my chances, and stick with the same one. I mean, yeah, the Prime Minister, sticking to the talking point all day today and yesterday, saying that all the vaccines offered to Canada are safe, but he won't answer if those who got the first shot can get their second shot. And this is a vaccine that the country ordered 20 million of, so there should be ample supply. But he did say in question period today that his doctor told him he should get a second shot of it in the next couple of weeks, which is great if you're the Prime Minister. But for the rest of us, the 2 million who got it, there's no assurance that we will get such a luxury in choosing.
And, Alex, this was completely foreseeable. I mean, I think you and I talked about this several weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago, when you were questioning, does it make sense to give Canadians one shot and postpone the second shot for months and months and months? And I said, if you do that, you're going to run into some difficulties of people not being able to complete the second shot the same as the first. And here we are.
Yeah.
That's exactly what
yeah, because I said the exact opposite, but now I'm going to pretend I said the same. Yeah.
It will cause unnecessary anxiety. It will cause people to feel frustrated with what has already been a pretty dreadful vaccine rollout in Canada. And I don't blame them. Do please remember this. I have to tell your listeners, do please remember this. These were unforced errors of our governments. And when you next vote, remember your frustration right now.
Yeah. But Professor, you got to learn the new talking point. It's a 1-dose summer, 2-dose fall, or as I like to say, fail. I mean, they're trying to, they're trying to massage and make us accept this mediocrity, and a lot of people will accept it.
No way should anyone accept that. Look, the medical standard of care is 2 doses of vaccines. If it's Pfizer, 3 weeks apart. If it's Moderna, a month apart. If it's AstraZeneca.
You're the term medical standard of care.
That's the medical standard of care. 2 doses.
Not the Bob thinks it is, or the government here did it this way.
As talking
standard of care.
Snow boot winter. Would you go outside in winter wearing one snow boot? I don't think you would. You wouldn't consider yourself protected.
That is a good analogy.
You absolutely cannot consider yourself
Now remember, these guys are smart, and they can't figure out how everybody's being so stupid.
Some people are trying
they can't
to
figure it out.
pitch a 1-dose summer as a desirable thing is glorifying medical malpractice, in my opinion.
Thank you, sir.
But hey, it's a catching talking point there, Amir. All right, Professor, I appreciate so much your time, and I will talk to you again because I don't think this is going away. Thank you.
Sadly not. Take care, Alex.
That is Professor Amir Attaran, so we will continue to follow this because there are so many more questions every day.
She just said about India not having regulations on vaccines.
We'll set you up with that in just a minute. Stay with us here.
India is light years ahead of Canada and the United States in medicine.
AbramsAuction.ca has cars and trucks available to the public. Abrams has a backlog of inventory of used and unclaimed vehicles. These cars are the perfect solution for the budget-conscious person who needs a car. A chance to get a great deal.
Go to abramsauction.ca and register to receive an exclusive auction alert on current vehicles available. abramsauction.ca.
So what you're going to start seeing happen? So the tow truck driver gets paid for out of the whatever the, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's a $200 flat fee in the city of Toronto for towing. You don't come pick up the shit, you end up paying storage fees, right? If it sits long enough, they have to auction it off to recover the money. The tow truck drivers get paid because that's their job to do. If it takes 6 months to get the money out of that car, that's not their concern. It's the boss's concern. You're going to see towing companies going under and weird things going on in the local the municipal level politics of that. For example, in the 96 companies bid on 5 contracts to pick up cars that are illegally parked, because that's how many fucking we have here. They need 5 companies to do it. And the 2 lowest bids were exactly the same. The number 5 and 6 bid, or the lowest, it doesn't matter. The 5th and 6th bid, 5 contracts, 6 companies bidding, were both exactly the same because they were trying to lowball and fuck over the city and shit. That was in the 90s. They've been doing this all the way along. Like the street sweepers, Rafat Construction or whatever they're called, Rafat Holdings, $339,000 to do 240 kilometers of roadway a day, and they haven't done 1 fucking inch of it.
Buy your ticket today to feel the anticipation that comes with a chance to win a jackpot of an estimated $27 million, plus the guaranteed $1 million prize.
This is Caleb.
Hi.
Caleb loves to speak in the third person.
Caleb sure does.
Caleb also loves his girlfriend, Jenny.
I'm going to make Jenny my life with an L.
So Caleb connected with a diamond specialist from Spence and created a one-of-a-kind engagement ring. And it's backed by the...
Hey, Spence, you really fucked up this commercial, eh? Like, it looks like you're belittling people. Whoa, I need to be pandered to. All right, thank you. Oh, shit, that's a lot of sunlight going through my fish tank. Maybe it'll start growing. I gotta set up some cameras better than this motherfucker one here. You just need 1 on the fish tank, 1 on the mice, and 1 on the road. You don't even need me in here.
At least faster. Tangerine. Forward banking. Now 680.
I can't. It's like if I could check the spice bottles and smell them. It's something sweet. I can't quite put my finger on.
Outdoors. Visit dex.ca. Right now in downtown Toronto, 17 degrees and sunny. 680 years time, 7 o'clock.
Toronto's #1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News. Good evening, it's Wednesday, May the 12th. I'm James Monroe.
And I'm Caitlin Lee here for breaking news this hour.
A day after pushing pause on giving first doses of AstraZeneca, the province says it's receiving 250,000 doses of that vaccine next week, but taking a wait-and-see approach as to what to do with it.
50% of adults vaccinated in Toronto's hottest hotspots. This is work that will pay off.
Work with split
The
screen.
sprint strategy is expanding. Tapping down the road's collision eastbound QEW approaching Trafalgar. 2 right lanes blocked. Full traffic and weather in seconds.
Indian Ryu starts for the Blue Jays in Atlanta, while Freddie Anderson is back in net for the Maple Leafs. Sports at 15.
Midweek tumble. The Dow plunges more than 680 points this year.
Ontario's health minister says no more first shots of the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine will be given out for the time being. Christine Elliott also says the province needs to know whether a different vaccine can be given for a second dose.
This is Global News at 7 o'clock.
Good evening from the Global News Desk. I'm Darren Bull.
Be the best second dose for people who have received AstraZeneca.
All the provinces
Will be given out for the time being. Christine Elliott also says the province needs to know whether a different vaccine can be given for a second dose.
We're also waiting for NACI to review the UK data where there has been intermingling of vaccines, AstraZeneca and others, to determine what should perhaps be the best second dose.
Now you hear that sentence, comma, 2, comma, determine, comma, possibly what might perhaps be. She's trying to pretend she's making one statement treatment. She's making 4 different ones
for second
instead.
shots. Ontario has stopped giving AstraZeneca as a first dose due to an increased risk of rare blood clotting syndrome.
Just to be clear, just because someone did it in the UK doesn't mean there's any evidence that it's good or bad. That's not been studied properly.
Data
and it's not been done in a controlled setting. It's an uncontrolled setting.
Of mild to moderate reactions after receiving their second dose.
Remember, these are people that want a second flu shot for no reason, so the doctors give it to them.
Spoke with Global News about
so what makes you think they're only getting what
they are promising?
They tell you they got?
Any vaccine mixing that does happen would be the exception, and
they have to come up with a special flu shot called double up for the old people, so they'd stop asking for a second flu shot from their doctor. Because the doctor keeps giving it to them because he doesn't know what to do. Because the vaccine company says it's safe to do, and that's all that matters is if it will kill them. Because doctors do not study vaccines in school.
Investigator says test results on whether mixing vaccines provides a more robust immune response will be released in a few weeks. Well, the province
on whether
says
this theory of mine might be
true. Vaccinated starting in June, but how will that be done is still, or how that will be done, that is still up in the air. Well, last week, Health Minister Christine Elliott says she was hoping to have students over the age of 12 fully vaccinated by the beginning of the next school year.
Because white people are constantly correcting themselves when there was no mistake.
As to whether that can actually happen.
I correct my mistake. No, you don't.
Beginning in June, a 4-month
you make a show of correcting
puts
yourself.
The second round of vaccinations to start in October. Solicitor General Sylvia Jones says that timeline could change.
As we get additional supply, then of course we will look at perhaps shrinking the amount of time between the first dose and second dose.
As it stands, however, she says a first dose provides a lot of protection, but will a COVID-19 vaccination be made mandatory?
Fauci said it was a 10-to-1 factor.
We encourage people very strongly to receive the vaccine as soon as it's their time to protect themselves and their loved ones. But
you don't protect anyone else by getting a vaccine.
Global News.
The plan by the City of Toronto to build a park over the rail deck of Union Station appears to have come to a screeching halt. In a decision Wednesday, the local planning appeal tribunal awarded air rights to a developer group to build several multi-use towers over the space, saying the city was wrong to reject a proposal from that group back in 2018. Building a park space in that area has been a long sought after goal of Mayor John Tory. When asked about the decision today, Tory says the city is in need of green spaces.
We should be polite to your neighbors because it's not right that you could get fucking evicted for what we do.
An open space in
Shut
all
your
parts of the
fucking
city,
mouth,
but included in downtown Toronto, where we're presently
Fix your face. Why aren't you wearing a mask?
Well, Tory says city staff are reviewing the decision while adding the fight for those air rights.
The masks they wear are not acoustically transparent. I can hear when you're wearing it.
Relied upon pipelines for gasoline, jet fuel, and diesel appears to be clearing up as the Colonial
jet fuel is diesel. Thank you. It all comes from crude, so
the
it's
latest.
The shutdown of the 8,800-kilometer pipeline brought about panic. Gas stations have been running dry across the southeastern United States, while some airlines were forced to redraw routes to deal with refueling stops. But on Wednesday, Colonial Pipeline released a statement saying it would resume operations, noting it could take days and even 2 weeks for a full return to normal. The company thanked several agencies along with
now, yesterday you said it was operating manually, so the fuel should still be running.
The Federal Cybersecurity Agency at the Department of Homeland Security was only contacted because the FBI was involved. The shutdown followed a ransomware attack reportedly requesting millions in Bitcoin payment, and reports suggest the company, with third-party help, was able to retrieve some of the data that was held hostage. Colonial says it is now undertaking a series of safety assessments.
They didn't retrieve data held hostage. They decrypted some of it.
Top stories on demand. Set your Alexa flash briefing.
I'm going to give you a little news. They didn't retrieve nothing. They decrypted some of it. And what they decrypted, there's going to be dozens and dozens of sections of data, all sectioned off and encrypted differently. It doesn't matter if you got the one piece. You won't get the rest.
He's handing off the ball to Hyunjin Ryu tonight in the second of a 3-game set against the Braves. Ryu is 2-2 with a 3.31 ERA this season. First pitch from Atlanta is set to go just before 7:30. And coming up at 8 o'clock, the Maple Leafs will hit the ice in Ottawa for a matchup with the Senators. Leafs netminder Frederik Andersen will be back between the pipes for Toronto in this one. He's missed the last 2 months with an upper body injury. Checking your regional forecast from the Global News Weather Center. Clear conditions expected tonight with temperatures dropping to an overnight low of +1 in some parts. I'm Darren Boland. This is Global News.
It's always the same. That's all.
This is On Point with Alex Pearson on Global News Radio.
You're right.
7:06 here on this Wednesday. We do have the employment law show coming up in just a minute, but we have a very busy show when we come back. And when we do, we'll talk with someone in Tel Aviv about this unprecedented escalation of violence between Israel and Hamas.
It's not between.
Both sides.
No, it's not both sides.
And we'll
the
talk
one
about
side has
Westlake
weapons, the other doesn't.
Sirens go off, which is often now. And what happens when they have to run to the shelters?
You know how we don't have those here. They don't have air raid shelters, stupid. You are fucking stupid.
Will the threatened shutdown?
Okay, so she's trying to present a whole bunch of false narratives. They take all this money you invest in your Israel war bonds and they build air shelters. No, they don't. They got the Iron Dome, which costs 10 times as much, and it only stops 90% of what comes in. Yeah, it can't stop the hand throwing so-called missiles. This, if I do this, as the second it leaves my hand, it is now a missile. It is a projectile. And in my hands, it could theoretically be considered a weapon. See, keep playing the shitty parts of the song. If you're only going to sample 2 seconds, that's the shitty part.
Represent the advertiser. The opinions expressed therein are those of the advertiser.
So I still haven't figured out when this On Point show runs. She got half an hour now, a half hour later.
You got tons of them, and if you don't know about them, this is the show that will enlighten you. 416.
To make a greater investment in education as it relates to being able to train and graduate more people proficient in cybersecurity.
Now it looks like drivers in some southeastern states will
You're
continue to fund
Prime
little
Minister.
or
You're
no
President
benefits
Trump's
stations,
Vice
as Colonial
President.
says
You're
the supply
still
chain
President
won't
Trump's
return
Vice
to normal
President.
for a few days. Reporting live, I'm Madison Patel.
Do you want to know what happened in Gaza Strip, or in Jerusalem specifically, I should say? Joe Biden signed off on the idea of moving the embassy for no fucking reason, or consulate, or whatever the fuck it is down there. And coming into office, he's not reversing the decision either. And all you white people can get the fuck off my lawn too, eh? But you're livestock and we chip you, so we don't give a fuck. You think you took something from us because you're standing on polluted ground, smoking crack you bought from us, drowning yourself with liquor you bought from us.
And your doctor wants you to take time off to make a disability claim. But should you? My name is Aaron Waxman, and if you're too sick to work and have questions about your long-term disability claim, call me at 416-661-4878. And don't worry about upfront legal fees, because there are none.
So I'm an Indian, and this is the land. I don't see no white people. I'm right here. The land's right here. Who'd you get off the land, and where did you take this land you stole, and where are you? I don't see you. First winter, 15 survivors. See, that number keeps coming up in my life. That's not my fault. 15 survivors.
You do maintenance on the rest of your home. Why not your bathroom? Every 10 years, your bathroom needs maintenance. If your bathroom is 10 years or older, you run 3 huge risks: water damage, airborne mold, and tens of thousands of dollars in water damage repairs to the lower levels of your home. And when you do nothing about it, your home and your health only gets worse, and repair costs get higher. So do something now.
AGM Renovations. I'm sorry that I made you cry.
Thousands of dollars in unnecessary repairs. Protect your home and your health. Don't wait. For your free assessment, go to agmrenovations.com.
AGMRenovations.com. 680 News Time, 7:11.
Traffic and weather together. Here's Carly.
Right now, out on the major routes, we have a number of things starting to clear up. So first off, southbound on the 404 at Finch, those 2 right lanes now reopen, and the collision is being towed away. So that's great. There's no delay left over. Second, eastbound on the QEW approaching Trafalgar, that collision has cleared. We're still seeing delays.
The big thing for me is for like 4 or 5 days of that stenciling I want to do in the jumpsuit.
Clear up quite nicely within the next few minutes as well. If
I'm supposed to care what a bunch of child molesters think of me. I don't. Why are you drinking and smoking crack in front of a daycare?
Rather, this is on the northbound 410. It's heavy from north of Steel.
And you can say, how come they don't call the cops on them? They might be. How come the cops don't show up? They might be. How come they don't do something? They might be. Everything's fucked up right now.
Slowing things down for people heading on to Williams Parkway from the north 410. We have an issue on the westbound 401 approaching Highway 6 South. 2 right lanes blocked off with a vehicle rollover. We've got delays from west of Guelph line. That's also causing a slowdown on the eastbound 401 east of Highway 6 South. Then delays continue east 401 from Kipling to the 400 and Bayview in the Express. That's it for the major routes on city streets. Major routes. At Erin Mills, 2 right lanes blocked off with a collision. Your next report is at 7:21. Now with the forecast, here is Natasha Ramsahheim. 6 degrees overnight tonight, a nice fresh northwest breeze up to 20 kilometers per hour. That's tonight and tomorrow. It's a mainly sunny day. Tomorrow, 20 degrees in Toronto with a slight chance of spotty showers through Durham and Peel. But Friday, everybody is dry, and the mild streak continues at 21 degrees with a breeze up to 20 kilometers per hour as well. Tonight, down to a low of 6 degrees. Right now in downtown Toronto, 16 degrees and sunny, the same at Pearson.
Well, the Premier back at Queen's Park today fielding questions from the opposition, but not the media.
Ford, making his first appearance in question period in just over a week, was asked why outdoor activities like golf courses are closed against the advice of the science advisory table.
So we wanted to limit mobility. And when I asked Dr. Brown from the science table, he has a little chart, yes, no. What you can do, what you can't do. And when it was outdoor playgrounds, it had a big no to it. Yes, to open it up if everyone wore masks. How many people, when you drive by those playgrounds, you see wearing a mask? You don't see anyone wearing a mask.
While Ford did attend question period, he didn't take questions from the media.
What I can say is around here, I notice the adults are wearing them, the kids not. The kids are mixing and mingling, but guess what? They don't mix and mingle anywhere, and only because there's a lineup at the fucking ice cream truck.
And that isn't what people need right now. At Queen's Park, I'm Richard Suddick.
Food deliveries, online shopping, and
these people pulling a knife on me today.
It never ends. We're juggling mortgage and credit cards, all without Tim's income. You wonder how we do it? We don't. We can't afford the payments. Somebody help us.
Well, I guess that's all I got for you. I'm pretty sure we lost audio a few minutes ago anyway.
Finance your mortgage and save thousands.
Use your home to get a loan with New Borrow.
Visit newborrow.com. License 13115.
This is the sound of medicine. When you stay at a Ronald McDonald House, close to your sick child, family is medicine.
This is legit.
And right now, it's helping Ryan battle leukemia. When families stay together at a Ronald McDonald House near the hospital, sick children get stronger.
Number 1 for breaking news, traffic, and weather. This is 680 News.
Sunny skies in downtown Toronto and 16 degrees. Good evening, I'm James Monroe.
And I'm Caitlin Lee. Here are the top stories this hour.
The latest on getting shots into arms, provincial health officials said 50% of adults have now received at least 1 dose, and the coverage rate for those over the age of 65 running between 80 and 90%.
What happens if you get this vaccine in a blood vessel?
Strategy to vaccinate in hotspots has put vaccines into the arms of 50% of adults. In those areas, 5 new postal codes being added. For the news you can use, go to 680news.com. And on the roads, vehicle rollover westbound 401 approaching Highway 6 South. 2 right lanes are blocked, and 680's Mark Douglas says get off the westbound 401 at Guelph line or you'll be caught in a huge crawling jam.
Now time for 680 Sports.
Andy McNamara.
The Blue Jays look to win their
Oh
second
shit!
of their
I forgot. I'm
three-game
so
series
sorry. We
versus the
got
Braves tonight in Atlanta. Ace Engine Rio brings his 2.
World Today.
Major trade routes.
Oh, that's a wonderful shot.
And
there,
access
man.
with many
World
parts
Today.
of the world. So that stability is not only linked with the fact that we need more peace in the world, but also with very pragmatic requirements of these countries. And for China, the policy has always been Afghan-led and Afghan-owned process, peace process, Afghan-led, Afghan-owned institutions, governance, etc. This is the only long-term stability that we can envision at this point. So through, whether we talk about it through the Shanghai Cooperation Organization mechanism, whether we talk about China's own communication with the Afghan government, with other major stakeholders in the region, the focus is always to make sure that we are facilitating a process that leads to peace and lasting peace. So for Central Asian countries, they're major stakeholders. China's position has been welcomed by stakeholders in Afghanistan as well. And for if we look at the various efforts that China has initiated, they all come back to the same concept.
I figured it'd been a few days. There must be a good subject on this one.
We need to think about their interests. And for that, we need to make sure that the basic requirement is that people have stable livelihood and opportunities. So Belt and Road, I feel, especially when we look at the SCO region,
you throw these in the landfill,
connected with the long-term purpose.
What is it be worth in Africa? I bet I could trade 3 of these to get a gold.
Without the stability of Afghanistan, the region cannot reach its maximum potential.
I will fill them with water and help carry them to your house too in exchange for the gold.
Central Asian countries through Afghanistan. So that's the
This is
major
good because you have 3 children, right? They can all carry one, right?
Address in a better way.
5, but 2 of them are little. They're going to carry the. Never mind.
The sentiments of people in the region as well. So I hope that that all of us in the region, especially Central Asian countries as well, can come together to facilitate that process. And we realize that we're not just spectators, but we are participating in this journey. We have to ensure that we play our part. There has
to be some amount of iron
to what will benefit all of us in the end.
Okay, thank you very much, Zun, for taking your time with us. That's Zun Namadokan, research fellow with Belt and Road Strategy Institute at Tsinghua University. Coming up, the UN Security Council holds urgent meetings over the escalating conflicts between Israel and the Palestinians. This is Bro Today. Stay with us.
Want deep analysis of the biggest and unmissable news stories of the day? Subscribe to The Top Story on your favorite podcast app.
The Institute of European and International Studies, a think tank based in France. The governor of Hainan province says global cooperation is required to ensure that the development of the island into a free trade port will benefit neighboring countries and regions as well as the whole world. Xiaoyi has more.
Chinese authorities released a master plan in June last year to develop Hainan into a high-level free trade port with global influence by the middle of the century. Governor Feng Fei of the province says the free trade port has its unique advantages when compared to free trade zones previously established in other parts of China.
There are no preferential policies in the free trade zones. The zones are encouraged to implement pilot reforms. The reforms provide experiences that can be replicated and promoted by other parts of the country. In comparison, many preferential policies are in place in the Hainan Free Trade Port, reflecting our national strategy.
So far, over 110 policies concerning the free trade port have been launched. They include favorable tax policies for the industries encouraged to grow, with enterprises in.
We're going to hear that one again later, but not this one.
More than 250 rockets that were fired from Gaza towards Israel during the day, announcing that they will continue as long as Israel keeps striking the Gaza Strip.
We were all shocked at the bombing that happened. It is terrifying. Our shops were damaged by the bombing. Our homes were destroyed. The Israeli army does not differentiate between a civilian or a military person. This puts us all in its
another reason I marked myself out like this.
Families are all under.
You understand? This is, I know it's not official. Of course it's not official. Our treaty didn't cover uniforms or payroll.
The Palestinian confrontation in Gaza followed mounting Palestinian anger over the threatened evacuation of families from their homes in East Jerusalem has sparked clashes in Jerusalem and tensions in Gaza. No housing in Gaza.
So the UN Security Council will hold another emergency session on Wednesday to discuss the escalating conflict. The closed-door meeting has been requested by Tunisia, Norway, and China. The first session held on Monday ended without a joint statement, with the United States expressing reluctance to adopt a draft statement which called on Israel to cease settlement activities and evictions, including in the East Jerusalem. So to talk more about this, joining us on the line is Professor Greg Barton from Global Islamic Politics at Deakin University, Australia. Thanks for joining us, Professor Barton.
Kicking brown people off the land. They are killing them if they don't. You kill 14 kids today.
Clashes
You
between
think you're
Israel
tough for
and the
that?
Palestinians.
I served in the army. It's mandatory in your country. It don't mean
conflict.
nothing. When you come here, stop acting like a tough guy. We'll leave your brains all over the floor because you don't get punished for anything.
East Jerusalem, which most of the world regards as
they
being
come here, they attack people,
great
and then they flee the scene. They flee the jurisdiction.
The governing force in the Gaza Strip, Hamas, which came to power in 2007, trying to link up with what's happening in Jerusalem and make a claim for itself as a defender of all Palestinians. That goes to its rivalry with Fatah. We also have Bibi Netanyahu, Israeli president, who seemed to be almost certainly coming to the end of a
Benjamin
leading Israel because of corruption allegations and trouble forming a new government.
Oh, yeah.
This
You're being held for corruption in your own country. You're not even been dragged to the ICC yet, have
very
you?
cynical, but
Smartphone penetration rate makes the continent a lucrative marketplace for smartphone producers. Tecno Mobile was the top-selling smartphone in Africa last year, based on third-party research. A new report from Counterpoint Research, covering all of last year, claims that across the continent, an estimated 18%
because black people don't know how to use cell
made by
phones.
Tecno Mobile. Competitor Chinese brand Huawei came in fourth at 8%, after Tecno's sister brand Itel at 12%, with a smartphone penetration rate of 91.2%, according to the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa's latest State of the ICT Sector Report. South Africa will witness even more new Chinese smartphone providers entering the market. Haley Erasmus, a student at the University of Cape Town, echoed these statistics in her remarks.
I use many Chinese tech products and I'm very happy with my purchases. A lot of my friends also use them, particularly smartphones. And I think Chinese tech is definitely on the rise in South Africa.
In the television industry, Hisense, Skyworth, TCL, and others are also having a significant impact in television sales in
You're the
South
white
Africa,
guy that works
as well as
for
job creation.
911,
For example,
telehealth,
Hisense has created over 5,000 jobs, directly and indirectly, since the pandemic hit South African shores.
South
in March
Africa is a
2020
country.
and created so
It's
much
not
economic
Southern
devastation. For the Beijing
Africa,
Hour,
you fucking
reporting from
retard.
Cape Town, I'm
That's
Brandon
why you
Yates.
lost 3 fucking jobs in a row answering phones.
Caregivers around the world are still on the front line battling against the pandemic.
Yeah.
Meantime, International Nurses Day was marked yesterday.
The ongoing
It's 7 in the morning.
is one of the first foreign policy crises that U.S. President Joe Biden has had to face so far. What approaches do you think Biden will take toward this crisis?
The same ones he took the entire time he was vice president.
President Biden is
How'd you guys vote for him and think he'd be different as president than he was as vice president?
And she decided to sign up for the job.
I've always wanted to come to Africa for medical aid. My family didn't really want me to leave at first, but they supported my decision in the end very firmly.
The team consists of 42 medical workers from 20 hospitals in northern China. Their primary job is to provide assistance and training to local medical workers on disinfection and self-protection against COVID-19.
Can you teach them hazard analysis, critical control points,
is not very good. We're also facing
cross-contamination?
many challenges. In particular, the medical equipment and gear are not sufficient. The public also doesn't
The reason I keep flipping over
awareness of
cross
pandemic
ventilation,
prevention and
if air's
control.
coming this way
They
and
also
this
lack
way, you know what
test
happens?
kits for
Nothing.
COVID-19.
It
The risk of
stops
infection
dead.
for medical
It
workers
creates
is
turbulence.
very
It doesn't
high.
create
The team
ventilation.
has brought along equipment for treating COVID-19 patients, such as ventilators and oxygenators. They've also donated
Oxygenators.
masks, protective suits, gloves, and other materials to local hospitals.
I don't know what an oxygenator
Apart
is.
from this, they're also treating other patients.
There was one time when a local was seriously injured at a car accident. Our team got a call from the hospital and immediately went for surgery that night. The operation ran overnight and was very successful.
Who says the weather in Khartoum is too hot for her. However, the responsibilities for nurse have overtaken the discomfort brought by the high temperatures.
The daily work of a nurse is very detail-oriented and difficult.
High
But this is the mission and honor
inside of
the
a
job.
hospital.
It's our job to save life and help the
If
injured.
you don't have
and also
ventilation in your
why I
hospital,
became
it's not a
nurse in the
hospital.
first place.
Pu Huiming has much experience in dealing with infectious
And if you have
diseases.
ventilation, it
She
can't
was
be
among
hotter
the first
inside
group
than
of medical
outside.
workers working in quarantine areas in her hospital last year. For the Beijing Hour, this is Fei Fei.
China is trying to diversify senior care to meet the demands of a rapidly aging population. The latest national census shows that Chinese people aged 60 and above account for 18.7% of the total population. SICKLY has more.
Jin has been working as an ability appraiser for senior citizens in a nursing home for 3 years.
In the beginning, there were only 3 ability appraisers in a nursing house, which could not meet the needs of the residents. Because I majored in nursing in school, I was assigned to study how to be an ability appraiser for senior citizens.
ICE's job is to evaluate the abilities of the elderly via daily engagement, so detailed care plan can be provided following the assessment.
There are different care plans according to the physical condition of the elderly. Service fees vary according to the different labor costs.
Being an ability appraiser for senior citizens has been classified as one of the 9 emerging occupations by the Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security. Jin says his job is particularly meaningful to those senior residents who have cognitive difficulties.
If a senior citizen has difficulties with their short-term memory, we will do some memory training to delay the degradation of their cognitive function.
Acknowledging the evidence supply-demand gap,
Jeopardy,
the government
Wheel
is
of
trying
Fortune,
to encourage more people to join the ranks of senior care.
I'm not even
It's estimated that 40 million people need some sort of elderly care provided by either the public or the
Tell us
private
about
sector.
the time bank.
Although family members are still the main force behind elderly care in China, it's no longer an option for an increasing number of people, given the challenges posed by urbanization, labor migration, and a different mindset towards family values. Official data suggests China expects around 300 million people, over a fifth of the population.
This is tomb sweep. This is a country where tomb sweeping day is a holiday.
China has built the world's largest old age security system over the past 5 years, and this basic old age insurance covers nearly 1 billion people. Still, the government has been looking at market forces to meet the increasingly diversified demand. The senior care market is expected to worth at least 10 trillion yuan by next year. For the Beijing Hour, I'm Sui.
German government approved an amendment to the country's climate protection law, clearing the way for final adoption before the next general election in September. Germany now seeks to become climate neutral by 2045, 5 years earlier than previously planned. The planned reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2030 is increased from 55 to 65% compared to 1990 levels. The government has also announced an immediate program to support the implementation of the new climate protection targets for the country's various sectors, with additional funding of up to 8 billion euros or $9.7 billion US. 28 past the hour. Beijing today getting cloudy skies and 26 degrees Celsius. It'll dip down to 16 tonight. Chongqing's getting a light rainfall and 30, a low of 21. Last is cloudy and 17, the low's +4. Hong Kong's cloudy and 32 on the day and a low 28 this evening.
The weather's supposed to be less.
But there is a crisis. It's likely to slip into full-blown war, and we do need international community to be paying attention and to be doing what it can to try and mitigate the harm. I mean, the people we need to think about are the ordinary people of Jerusalem, the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, who are the victims in this, and it's the elite players, both domestically and internationally, that cynically use this for their advantage. The international community can play a positive role here. But there's no immediate miracle solution, but that doesn't mean that they shouldn't be trying, because, as I said, we need the fire department to turn up and try and put out the flames.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Barton. That's Professor Greg Barton from Global Islamic Politics at Deakin University, Australia. Coming up, COVID-19 variant first detected in India has been found in nearly 50 countries. To listen to this episode again or to catch up on previous episodes, you can download our podcast by searching World Today. And for more discussion, you can follow us on Twitter. It's China Plus News. This is World Today.
So earlier they were saying that they've been arguing back and forth trying to decide for a year if COVID is airborne. No, they haven't. They decided a year ago. They were about 6 months ago. 3 dozen Toronto emergency room doctors said it's airborne, and I could have swore I heard the WHO say something about that. But when has a cold virus not been airborne? Well, they would have been recommending people to cover their faces 100 years ago to get rid of coronaviruses.
I truly enjoy the debates.
A million, a billion, or maybe a gazillion years ago, a giant split open an egg. Then came the lady giant who made people and missed.
Okay, China, I know you're not catching this. You put way too much work into the audio quality going in, and then you strip the sound quality down so you can serve the most number of subscribers, listeners. Guess what? It sounds like complete garbage. We can't hear it.
Examining the events that impact and shape China and the rest of the world. This is the Beijing Hour, 1 hour of news and information brought to you every weekday. Now here's your host,
The less data you start with having to compress, the less you have to compress it, and the clearer it'll be on the other end. Garbage in, garbage out.
Liga title. In culture and entertainment, a center in southern China for experiencing the country's cultural heritage. Now, to contact us, you can send emails to beijinghour@cri.com.cn. Now look at the day's headlines. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday inspected the city of Nanyang in Henan province. He visited a memorial facility dedicated to Zheng Zhongjing, a famous Chinese pharmacologist and physician of the Eastern Han Dynasty. He learned about Zheng's life story and his contributions to the development of traditional Chinese medicine. The president also inspected how Nanyang uses flowers and herbs to develop its specialty industries, create jobs, and boost local employment.
What?
Chinese envoy is calling for restraint from Israel amid heightened tensions between Israelis and Palestinians. It comes after escalating violence in East Jerusalem and Syria.
Blonde-haired, blue-eyed Austrian. Keep it up, Jomo.
Casualties. China's permanent representative to the United Nations presided
These
over
are blonde-haired, blue-eyed Austrians. They ain't gonna listen to what a chink says.
Israeli-Palestinian tensions in his
They see you as lower than them. It's not like South Africa where you're considered higher.
China is deeply concerned
Israel
about the
considers
situation
you
in
lower.
Palestine and strongly condemns violence against civilians. He says efforts must be made to calm the tensions,
Chomo's dumping and dumping.
safety and rights of ordinary civilians and prevent a full-scale crisis. He says China urges all parties to immediately end all acts of hostilities and
I'm spitting
escalation. He also says China supports the United Nations in playing a bigger role in calming the tensions. China's pledged to work with Central Asian countries to improve cooperation following a meeting in Shanxi province. Foreign Minister Wang Yi delivered the pledge along with his counterparts from Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. Wang says China wants closer ties with these 5 countries on markets, products, rules, and funding, seeking to improve the quality and scale of trade. He also says China is ready to work with all sides on a notification plan for major pandemics as soon as possible. The Cyber Administration of China has begun to solicit public opinion on a set of draft rules on regulating data collection by auto manufacturers and service providers. The rules require that business operators, including car makers, dealerships, online car hailing service providers, and insurance companies, should obtain the permission of drivers to collect personal and driving
You're
data.
illegally watching my worker.
Data collected should be
my worker. Anybody that says that is a slave driver. They think they own people.
The driver should be
And
able
if you aren't one of the people they own,
data
they're
collection
screaming at you
process
because they'll get your owner to hit you. The Nissan
China's
dealership.
offered to provide Zambia with Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine.
I can only assume we still have sound, or Chomo's using 2
Chinese
computers.
vaccine was recently approved by the World Health Organization for emergency use.
I wonder.
The Zambian health minister said the number of people getting the vaccines increased since the campaign started last month. He says more than 90,000 people have been vaccinated in Zambia so far. A campaign that largely targets healthcare workers and those at risk. He says this is evidence that people who were initially reluctant have accepted the vaccination program. Zambia has reported more than 92,000 cases of COVID-19 since the start of the pandemic. The World Health Organization says a coronavirus variant first detected in India has now been reported in at least 44 countries. The WHO declared it a variant of concern and says it's believed to be resistant to certain antibodies, including those from vaccines. A study has reported reduced effectiveness of the Moderna
Vaccines don't contain antibodies.
The WHO says the variant
vaccines do not contain antibodies.
3 different strains, which are being found increasingly
pretty
in
sure
Europe
mother's
and
milk
North
does.
America. Advisors to U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have endorsed the use of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine in kids as young as 12. CDC Director Raquel Walensky told parents in her Twitter Wednesday afternoon that the CDC now recommends Pfizer-BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine to be used for people between 12 and 15 years old. Pfizer is the first vaccine manufacturer to gain emergency use authorization for younger Americans. This after it demonstrated in a March clinical trial that its vaccine was 100% effective in preventing COVID-19.
Something that will not make them sick.
Between 12 and 15.
It was a Republic. So all across Canada, we've had one person die from COVID that was under the age of 18. One. We've had 2 18-year-olds and one under the age of 18 die. That's it. So, of course, your vaccine will be 100% effective at preventing them from being hospitalized. Yeah, because they don't get sick enough to get hospitalized. And as for safety, or sorry, as for as for safety, it's not as safe as COVID.
Listening to the Beijing Hour. 60 minutes of comprehensive news. Your window on China.
Nationwide lockdown, but with 1.3 billion living in fear and desperation, said the New York Times.
I call it every fucking time, man. When your screen unfreezes, I'm already covering.
Well,
why do you keep bothering, Chomo?
To have lockdown or not to have lockdown, because the experiences of last year's lockdown turned out not as good or as effective as it had expected. India is a large country, and it is difficult, to be fair, to carry out a kind of lockdown as we had in China. So at this moment, I think I would argue that it is not a question of to have lockdown, not have lockdown, rather how effective step measures can take to manage the patients, these COVID-19 patients that have been suffering from the shortage of oxygen ventilators, oxygen providers, and on and so forth. This is, I think, the most urgent issue the government, both at central and the state and the local level, should do.
We see anger rises in India over Prime Minister Modi's COVID-19 response and Western reflections. Western leaders or leaders from Quad, especially the U.S. President Joe Biden, has remained silent. Many Indians expressed their anger, saying, if COVID-19 has taught us anything, is that Western emphasis on human rights is one of the huge farce. What's your take on such sentiment among Indians?
Remember, depleted uranium munitions.
As far as the responses of the Western countries, the United States in particular, towards the second wave of COVID-19 in India, there
red
are
phosphorus.
Quite large.
There's white phosphorus. It doesn't matter. Phosphorus.
About their responses, late responses, even though I think in recent weeks I've seen some mobilization of that, including the pledge that of the U.S. government that they would support the waiving of the IPO, intellectual property right vaccine, which I think will take a long time. And I think at this moment, what India needs most, as I said, is, of course, the real tangible support, like the medical equipment, vaccines, and others. And it would be equally important, of course, besides the goodwills and also the pledges, the rhetoric. I think the international community, particularly I think it's the Western allies of India, which have been pledging for support, which comes with concrete things, and plus the improvement of government capabilities to manage and handle this crisis. I only hope that with the support of international community, regional countries, including China, and I think the Indians and would be able to, I think, manage this, and I only hope and wish that they will get the current second wave of COVID-19 under control.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rong. That's Dr. Rong Ying, Vice President and a Senior Research Fellow at China Institute of International Studies. You're listening to World Today. Stay with us.
Dive into the sports world with Sideline Story, our weekly podcast that brings you the most up-to-date.
In January, the Trump administration accused Xiaomi and 8 other Chinese firms of having ties to the Chinese military. Xiaomi challenged the designation, calling it arbitrary.
Every corporation everywhere is tied to the military of the nation it's based in, eh?
According to papers filed in court, Xiaomi and the U.S.
That's like screaming, "Yeah, the cell phone! Yeah, the cell phone!" You beat up black kids for getting off the street. Oh, he was getting off, so he must have stolen his ride. You had to transfer
it. Two parties are expected to negotiate
white people doing this shit everywhere.
Terms of the deal.
Maybe I'm willing to chalk it up to genetics. Maybe you're inherently stupid.
20th. Meantime, shares
if you would come out and admit that that was a weakness of white DNA, we might be able to work with you on that.
Apple is facing a lawsuit in London over claims that it overcharged millions of its customers in the UK for App Store purchases. The lawsuit, which has been filed with the Competition Appeal Tribunal, wants Apple to compensate users who've been charged excessive fees. Nicole Johnston reports.
This isn't the only lawsuit Apple is facing around the world, but it's another headache for the company. It's been accused of overcharging almost 20 million UK customers for purchases they make on the App Store. So every time you buy something on the Apple Store, there's a 30% commission that you pay, and the app developers are charged another 15% fee. The claimants in this case say that it's excessive and unlawful, but Apple says that these fees and charges are fair enough, and that
do well.
You're dumb enough to buy an Apple phone.
Supply chain for manufacturing, so you can continue to export and produce for the rest of the world. For the U.S. side, they have gone away from supply chain management domestically. They have gone away from manufacturing domestically. So it will be very, very difficult to come back in the near term, or if at all, in the medium term.
And we found that the U.S. labor force participation rate remains well below the pre-pandemic levels. And in April, the unemployment rate is 6.1%. At the same time, analysts say it is also a labor market that is 10 million jobs short of where it should be. So what's the main reason for that? And what does it...
Don't you eliminate 3 things that are not directly related? So what's the reason for that? What the fuck do you expect Buddy to say?
I'm by financial analyst.
Remember, he's a guest analyst on a show in a country that does not have an unemployment rate. You've never heard China's unemployment rate, have you? Is this Tiger?
Decoupling has no future, and it's going to create a lot of disruption to the supply chain. And this court decision would help reverse that trend.
It's 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock.
What then could this agreement mean for Xiaomi's business and for its reputation?
Well, I think its reputation will remain intact. I think ultimately the reputation is going to be judged by the quality of its products and the consumer feedback, which would ultimately be reflected in the corporate earnings. So as long as it continues to improve the quality of the products, I think that's what consumers care about, and that's how the market would assess its reputation.
And do you think will there be more Chinese firms challenging their blacklisting in the United States?
2 of them.
Yeah, I think we have seen that the Chinese corporations are more and more savvy when it comes to using the legal channel. We've seen that the TikTok and Huawei and many other companies are resorting to this type of dispute resolution, and it's going to increasingly be the means through which the private sector resolve any type of dispute with third party.
Thank you very much for joining us this morning. That's financial analyst Cao San discussing the United States agreeing to remove Chinese tech giant Xiaomi from a blacklist. 44 past the hour, new energy vehicle sales in China soared in the first 4 months of the year amid the steady recovery of market demand. Data from the China Association of Automobile Manufacturers shows that sales jumped around 249% from a year earlier. Between January and April, 730,000 new energy vehicles were sold, with over 200,000 cars sold in April alone. The association says monthly production and sales remain
$4, $5, $6, $7 billion per line, if not $10 billion a line. These things take years to build. And the efficiency of the U.S. supply chain and the logistics to build such very sophisticated manufacturing facilities are sorely lacking. So this is why, for example, TSMC is not seriously looking at manufacturing in the U.S., but are keeping their semiconductor manufacturing mostly in Asia. If they had to do some political grandstanding and do something in the US, they will do that. So I think the supply chain is global, and much of the supply chain, the most efficient supply chain, is in Asia. So even if you attempt to pre-build it in the US, businessmen will be businessmen. They will look at efficiency, and there are serious hurdles for them to commit to rebuild in the U.S. So it would take a long time.
And Americans are also fear the highest inflation in nearly a decade because of the rounds of stimulus packages. And Wall Street stocks began to slide on Tuesday, and people are concerned that rising inflation will prompt the central bank to tighten its monetary policy. So what's your take? Of course, the monetary easing, cannot last forever. So when is the right time
they've only been doing it for
12 years tighten its monetary policy?
I think you would be
12 years or something
to say that
it doesn't work either.
Rounds of stimulus packages to combat the pandemic. It's actually rounds of money printing. There's no question two things will happen at the rate at which the U.S. Federal Reserve policies, as well as the federal government policies, including some state government policies, have been basically two things. One is money printing, money printing, money printing. So two things will happen. One is the dollar will decline, which has already started. Any blurbs on the
remember, none of this applies to Canada. None of it. So all the people using blah, 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 of course it does this, and then none of it applies to Canada. We don't have 12 privately owned banks.
It's not economist's view, but a politician's view. They will continue to do this and force loosening of the credit, as well as more money printing, with an eye toward 2022 midterm elections. So there's more politics in this than actually what's good for the economy.
And Biden's economic policy will focus on big infrastructure development. His plan will be financed with higher taxes on corporations and wealthy individuals. So how is this going to affect investments and the whole economy?
I think his announced economic policy plan is to focus on big infrastructure development. It's, again, I think it's more politics than reality. There are three things in terms of the major infrastructure projects. One is you have to have the capital. Two, you have to have this technological skills. And three, you have to have the labor that's efficient or is skilled at doing what infrastructure requires. Now, in terms of capital, he can throw capital at it, but it's actually a lot more complicated than that, because most infrastructure projects in the U.S. requires a coordination between the federal government, the state government, and the local government in terms of management, in terms of funding, and in terms of execution. So there are very few shovel-ready projects which already have cleared all these hurdles and have already settled the balancing of the various forces. Now, shovel-ready, the only thing that you can do now is maybe repair some bridges and roads. But the major infrastructure projects that they're talking about, in all the sectors which have been described takes years just for planning and coordination to take place. So I don't see this happening anytime soon.
That's Charles Liu, co-founder and a former CEO of Hall Capital. You're listening to World Today. Stay with us. Want to learn about
All right, this is the culture.
On her serve. Despite the loss, Williams received applauses from her fellow players.
or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You're listening to World Today. U.S. Republicans are to vote on whether to oust one of their leaders, Liz Cheney, over her repeated criticism of former President Donald Trump. She expected to lose her third-ranking post in the House of Representatives, as the top two House Republicans want her replaced with a Trump loyalist. So to talk more about this, let's bring in Mr. Dennis Campbell, journalist and author. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
So tell us, who is Liz Cheney? Why is she being removed from her position as the conference chair of the Republican Party in the House?
Well, that's
most people would.
Israel for a long time. Certainly, you remember the crisis in 2014, 7 weeks of just relentless, attacks by Hamas. What's different about this?
Relentless attacks by Hamas.
I wasn't just, I'm just talking from what I've spoken to my friends.
Well, you decided to lay down on their open firing range, like their live fire range. That's your fault.
For 5 minutes. Okay,
you decided to kill children. That's your fault.
Let's go to the coffee bar. You understand? Nothing changed. From what I heard last night, the barrage was so hectic that people, the roads were dead today. I believe people in Tel Aviv were in their shelters. Friends of mine were telling me that they could feel the earth shaking. It was crazy.
They were in their shelter.
The Iron Dome, as I understand, is
this is all false narrative. It's all false narrative. It's a construct. We were in our shelters. Those are called houses, stupid.
And promising now that they will not be caught off guard again. And so, what's the feeling of where this is leading?
You know what they don't have in the Middle East? Wood. So everything's made of concrete.
Preparing themselves for
it's all bomb shelters. This is not a bad day for you. Shut up, white boy.
Is that new for a lot? I mean, we know that like central and southern Israel are used to this. I don't know.
What is central and southern Israel?
Corrected, but those in Tel Aviv don't generally have to run out to the bomb shelters quite as much. Is this a different
run out to the bomb shelters? Like there's some separate place. They have air raid sirens, unlike Toronto.
Everyone goes to bomb shelters. The difference now,
they're not bomb shelters.
From what I understand,
they're not bomb shelters.
Last evening was that
they're trying to use the word bunker, but they can't because that's a military term. Here, bomb shelter and bunker means the same thing. There, they're talking about a house which is made of concrete. All you have to do is not leave. You built it illegally. Every single one of those houses is illegal.
Obviously, countries like Canada, the United States, and Britain, they'll all ask for calm. It doesn't sound like Benjamin Netanyahu is ready to lay down. I don't think he can in this case. I get the feeling that Hamas has chosen to pick this fight for whatever reason, and if he's going to end it.
Hamas has chosen to pick this fight for whatever reason. He's going to end it. Mr. Yahoo, who's up on corruption charges,
just said, okay, we're going to take you out. They ever just sent 500 missiles into Gaza.
Buddy, your accent's horrible.
Anytime Israel sends rockets in there is to retaliate.
There's
problems. You understand? It's completely
I must hard like old Hamas as our accent.
The thing that got this all going, from what I've read.
Wait, why are you huffing and puffing every time you make an H sound?
They were throwing.
Let me take the word. Rock.
I don't know. Fighting in East Jerusalem. What do they expect the police to do? Not maintain law and order? Just carry on throwing rocks?
The police from a foreign country? What do you expect the police to do? Go back to your country.
aggression.
If you want to know why graveyards are getting this anti-Semitic shit's going up, it's child molesters like this. You're renowned in the world of child molestation. You come to this country, get caught, flee the jurisdiction, and never get punished.
In 2014, or that would be more or further.
You want to gangbang? Well, gangbang, nigga. What side you gonna play? What black gang are you a part of, pussy? Exactly. The KKK. That's right. The people that can't tell what a Jewish person looks like because they look just like them. Damn, you're right.
Well, the pandemic we beat. With any country that's done it. With any country that's done it. 5 million people, adults vaccinated. We walk around the streets here with no masks.
Yeah, you're spreading variants. You're gonna die. COVID loves you. COVID loves you. COVID, nous avons de l'avion pour toi.
It's a brilliant place. It's an unbelievable place, and it has its issues.
That's because you got the sun directly overhead, stupid. And it's all sand, which is silicone, which is glass. That's brilliant.
Just go to the bomb shelters.
Yes,
the bomb shelter. They don't have a separate shelter system. Stop pretending.
No problem. Here's what it is. There's nothing you can do.
Here's what
it
is. Nothing you can do. They're using Canadianisms on us now.
Well, from what it sounds like from my friends,
pretending that this woman's Canadian. That's good, bro. That's good. She don't represent us.
It seems like there's a bit more concern that there's a lot more rockets being targeted in the areas they get into.
That's another one that's magnetic.
And I understand that, that the IDF went in position, so we could see, I guess, in the next 24 hours.
That's a different one. That's 2006.
Right now it's 20, just before 20 to 9. So normally.
So let's waste some time pretending that nobody knows how to tell time.
So we'll wait to see. We'll wait to see. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Designed to
in the 6.
What has
what do you expect the police to do? Go to your own country, stupid.
We'll hope for safer times.
Just like I tell these pussies.
And wish you the best. And we'll
remember, Scottish and 6 foot. The law says you must be Scottish and 6 foot to be a police officer. Well, I'm Scottish and 6 foot. You're not.
For a couple of days, so I can't give you from what I've heard from friends and family. In and around different
if there was ever an accent for a pedophile, this is it.
To experience it. That is
I've never heard something so horrible before as this guy's accent.
I don't experience it.
I hope for your sake as well. Jeremy Kramer joining us now, and we'll check in and see what happens over the next few hours, because it will certainly keep evolving. When we come back, we'll talk about
it will certainly keep evolving. You just said it's been the same forever.
Woken up finally to the need for domestic oil. We'll talk about that.
Wow, you're stupid.
Point on Global News Radio.
We're gonna switch over to a different right supremacist topic.
Radio 640 Toronto.
Remember, we import oil from Saudi Arabia and Iran at $60 a barrel or whatever, and we sell it for $37 Canadian a barrel to the U.S., and somehow this has to do with our own energy security. Right. We pay subsidies every time oil crosses the border on a train, so they bring it back and forth across the border, the same shipment 17 times. Our government pays the subsidy 17 times for that shipment. And you'll notice they've dropped the concept of running this gas pipeline through Wheaton land. Hello, Chomo. We know you're there. Yes, Chomo. We know you're getting mad. You're getting mad because you're not black. Chomo, the 9th floor Chomo, tans in the sun. He's not. Show me my eyes, edited shut. That's good. That's good. That's good. So you'll notice they're not talking about Trudeau's $4.5 billion expenditure on a pipeline to nowhere. Do I have to have the home invaded again? Get off Wet'suwet'en land, buddy.
The Maple Leafs, there's a gap, so you want to make sure the gap. You have a couple of solid efforts tonight and Friday. Can we have a runtime tonight? Yeah.
Within more doses of AstraZeneca.
Well, Elliott also says she's awaiting studies on whether a different vaccine can be given for a second dose. Provincial officials also noting today that a plan is being developed.
Been a spirited team. They dug a deep hole.
We are waiting for the determination on the situation with respect to the VITTs and the safety overall. That is what we need to know more about before we deal with any more cases of AstraZeneca.
Well, Elliot, also very different. Given for a second dose. Provincial officials also noting today that a plan is being developed to have children aged 12 to 17 vaccinated beginning in June. Well, preliminary results of an ongoing study in the United Kingdom suggest alternating the AstraZeneca and Pfizer vaccines causes more frequent mild to moderate symptoms. Global's Europe Bureau Chief Crystal Gamansing has more on the study's early findings.
The CONCOG study out of the University of Oxford found no additional safety concerns from administering a primer shot of Oxford AstraZeneca followed by a Pfizer booster, or the other way around, when compared to those given 2 doses of the same vaccine. But more people who received mixed doses reported mild to moderate reactions after their second shot. Infectious disease specialist Dr. Gerald Evans says that's a good sign.
So one of the things it tells us, in a way, is that there may be a more robust immune response happening with mixing the vaccines.
It's an interpretation that is widely supported. Still, the study's chief investigator says it's too early to say.
If it's 1 in 50 to 40,000, whatever, yeah, we know you're there, stupid, we know. If it's 1 in 40,000 at risk for the first shot, and they're saying if you didn't get it the first time, the second time it's 1 in a million. Now remember, they used to say it was 1 in a million for the first shot. You're increasing from 1 in a number larger than the total number inoculated. You're increasing that rate, decreasing that larger number down to 1 million, 1 in 1 million. It was 1 in, I don't know, let's say 10 billion. Now it's 1 in 1 million. And you think that means it's safe. That proves it's safer. No, it doesn't. You don't understand math or English.
Keep outdoor amenities open, Ontario Premier Doug Ford is defending his government's decision to keep things like golf courses along with basketball and tennis courts closed.
Doug Ford says his government's goal was to limit mobility.
Limit mobility, make sure everyone stays at home, but in other cases, if they go out, everyone has to wear a mask.
The Premier is defending his government's change of course on playgrounds, saying Ontario's Science Advisory Table only recommended keeping them open if people wore masks.
How many people, when you drive by those playgrounds, do you see wearing a mask? You don't see anyone wearing a mask.
That same advisory table has criticized the government's move to restrict outdoor activities, noting they have a lower risk of spreading COVID-19 than indoor gatherings if masking and distancing are in place. Ontario's top doctor, David Williams, has said he would like to see cases well below 1,000 before lifting the stay-at-home order. Brianna Carnegie, Global News.
Well, the provincial auditor says the Ontario government failed to properly track $4.4 billion in COVID-19 relief spending. Bonnie Lissick tabled her report today after looking at 26 health-related COVID-19 spending programs authorized between March and June of last year. Now, overall, she says 17 lacked processes related to verifying proper use or timely distribution of funds, including high-profile programs like pandemic pay increases for frontline workers. The program was announced in late April with the promise that workers would start receiving the increases immediately, but the audit found the money did not start flowing until mid-June. All these skyrocketing costs.
Most of the employers that received the money didn't still having to give it to their fucking workers yet.
In Saskatoon, police say the city has seen a huge jump in thefts at construction sites since 2018, and they say lumber has especially been a target this year. Now, in one extreme case,
why are you building with lumber?
Police say $10,000.
Why are you building a modern house with lumber?
Home hardware. Police spokesman Scott Tracy says a man in a stolen truck rammed the gates of the store at about 4 a.m. on April 12th.
That provided access to the outdoor yard where the lumber was stored, and then he spent.
No, the one thing is home hardwares are independently owned.
Loading up lumber.
You're ripping off a business specific.
Tracy says the man is at large and the lumber and truck have not been recovered. Missed the beginning of this newscast? Use your Alexa
They're in the woods somewhere.
Top stories on demand. Set your flash briefing to play 640 Toronto. In sports, Toronto FC on the pitch in Orlando tonight, taking on Columbus SC. The game now at the half, but a goal from Michael Bradley in the 13th minute has Toronto FC up ahead 1-0. Meantime, to the Diamondbacks and the Blue Jays in Atlanta tonight for the second of a 3-game series against the Braves. The game now in the end of the third, and it's all tied up at 0. Meantime, puck drop is just moments away from Ottawa as the Maple Leafs get set to take on the Senators. Also, Toronto now knows who they will face when the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs gets underway. For the first time in 42 years, the Maple Leafs will clash with the Montreal Canadiens in the first round. Looking at your regional forecast from the Global News Weather center. Clear tonight with temperatures dropping in some parts to an overnight low of +1. Temperatures, though, jumping back up on Thursday with an expected high of 18. I'm Darren Holden, and this is Global News.
Just get better. Having to take it up the St. Lawrence with the Great Lakes.
This is On Point with Alex Pearson on Global News Radio.
I can tell you it'll be messy.
It doesn't come up to St. Lawrence. It goes over pipelines and rail cars, you moron.
Wheelers
It comes in Nova Scotia.
jamming up the border. It will involve boats having to take it up the St. Lawrence or through the Great Lakes. It will involve railway cars.
Those oil tankers can't fit up the seaway.
It
Stupid!
will be expensive, and it will not be as safe.
That is the minister on this file, Seamus O'Regan, and it'll be messy, right? And the Trudeau government clearly has no plan B. I mean, because, hey, we don't have energy east, right? Nonetheless, sometimes you don't know how good you could have had it until it is gone. And the threatened shutdown of Enbridge Line 5 just might be the wake-up call Canadians need to realize.
Says the racist Nazi white girl burying herself every day.
Line was very short-sighted and a lost opportunity. And don't think our friends in Alberta are not seeing the irony to this situation, that the anti-pipeline policies of our eastern politicians are now coming back to bite them, because if or when Line 5 is shut down, we won't just lose thousands of jobs. We will be plunging ourselves into an energy crisis that we have never seen before.
Eastern politicians.
And it may finally be the
This is about the Scotians and no fees, eh? You fucking retard.
Reliable fossil fuels, not these energy fantasies that don't exist and won't for decades. Licia Corbella is a columnist at the Calgary Herald, and you write.
We have ethanol, biodiesel, natural gas, propane, and electricity for vehicles. On top of that, human-powered vehicles. It doesn't exist. But we must keep buying oil from Saudi Arabia and subsidizing it about 45% before we sell it to the U.S. for some reason, right? She's sworn up and down we have to.
Shut down for a couple of months before everybody figures out how to get the oil and all the other petroleum products to their...
The oil and all the other petroleum products. You're stupid. Petroleum. Oil. Oil comes from petroleum. The oil, the word. It comes from petroleum. All those... It's not... oil is... There's not other oil projects besides oil. And nobody has to figure this out. It's already in place. These people are going to bury themselves with bullshit. Watch.
Friday because of ransomware, like a hack.
Oh. And yeah, by the way, bring up something irrelevant. The other... It's going to get me... I might as well let them
to allow truck drivers to break the rules on how long they can drive a truck for.
What's the rule?
Happened.
Yeah. And people filling up plastic.
So those hours of service regulations are different in every fucking province and state. This pipeline runs through 10 different states, and this rule that doesn't apply equally in all of them is being broken because of... No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works. That's not how... All of a sudden, because it's oil, they're breaking the rules to drive it here. Right.
He canceled Keystone, and he's not waiting.
The thing I keep meaning to say is they're not going to shut the pipeline off. This is all a moot point. Enbridge is not going to shut it off, period. Or whoever the fuck owns it is not going to shut it off anyway. Just like this Colonial Pipeline is not shut off. They told us 2 days ago it's running manually. There's people with cell phones and radios opening and closing valves manually, flipping switches manually. Those servos that are controlled by the internet, they pulled the fucking Ethernet plugs out of them and smashed the Wi-Fi antennas off of them. The pipeline's still running. But everybody's flipping out about this Colonial. The Colonial Pipeline's pipeline is running right now. They've been telling us that over and over and over for days. So what makes you think they're going to shut off this pipeline? They won't. They'll just keep violating the law as long as they want. Because it only affects niggers and engines.
Trucks on the road. So that's the 401, folks. That's well, I don't know if it's the 401, but it's a lot of trucks, extra trucks on highways.
No, it's
not.
And
I don't know about you.
We didn't suddenly buy a whole bunch of new trucks, stupid.
In front of a big truck.
So I'm going to... Let's hear this.
Whatever.
Well, you know, I just as we talked.
I'm in front of a big tank truck, whatever. That's good logic. So we still have the exact same number of trucks we had yesterday, stupid. So this may seem real difficult to understand. The trailers on tractor trailers are separate. Yeah, it's the same number of trucks on the road at any one time. You can't suddenly come up with new trucks that don't exist. Right. Some of you are 2 steps ahead of me, and you're very smart. Other goods are going to get delayed in order for oil shipments to go through. There will not be any extra trucks on the road because there can't be. You know what could cause something like that? If you had a massive shift in transportation where all the trucks on the West Coast came to the East Coast for some reason. But that's not what's going to happen. They're not shutting down these pipelines.
I'm all interested in reopening
this is all paper talk.
The debate for Energy East. As far as they were concerned, when Trudeau moved the goalpost on the rules and regulations on counting GHG emissions for this, they shut down the project and they don't have any plans to reopen it.
GHG
so if
is not a
somebody
thing.
else would have to buy that existing pipeline that currently goes east-west and to reverse it to go west-east and then build a little bit of extra pipeline that goes through Quebec, which of course is the big problem.
A little bit of extra.
I think in
Quebec,
Alberta,
which is of course the big problem because Quebec considers itself a separate nation. To the extent that they do not recognize First Nation rights, just like Newfoundland doesn't. So they don't know how to fight with they're used to being able to say, oh, it's just Indian niggers, get rid of them. They can't say that to Quebec because Quebec doesn't recognize these people, Anglophones, Indians, nothing. They recognize black people. The world's the francophone diaspora is significantly black.
Go in a safe pipeline across their land. It's a little bit galling.
Yeah, I don't blame the resentment. Yeah, I mean, I see the divide, but it has caused such a divide in this country. You know, where those in Alberta, Saskatchewan look at Ontario and Quebec.
Now remember, they're going to keep saying this pipeline has been serviced for this is long, and a whole bunch of you are going to say, yeah, it's been in service way too long, and it's buried, so you can't see the leaks, which is their excuse all the time. It's safer because you can't see the leaks. Indians were not allowed to hire lawyers when this pipeline was put through. Any of these pipelines were put through. That's why they don't want to shut them down, because they can theoretically grandfather this shit in. They can't get, I was going to say permits. It's not permit. They can't get permission from us, nor permits from the government to build new ones, because we can hire lawyers now.
Oh, the idea of people starting to think, what would happen if we took 540,000 barrels of oil per day out of our out of production, like moving around on our roads and the rest of it.
Out of moving around on our, what do you mean?
My car travel, and it's significant, within half a day.
500,000 barrels ain't much.
You would feel it within half a day. It's that fast, as we've seen in the States, right? They're panicking because of this shutdown of this pipeline on the Eastern Seaboard. Panicking. Right?
Yeah. None of these pipelines are going to get shut down. Now, remember, we ship like the same amount of oil for some reason from the tar sands into North Dakota or whatever every fucking day for no reason at a subsidized rate. And these same women, white women, are always put forward as the public relations, are insisting that if they can double the amount of oil they sell at a subsidy, they'll be able to make money somehow. The negative, if you double a negative number, what do you get? Twice as low, don't you?
Is we all use oil and gas, and we use lots of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
we do.
I've lived in Toronto.
We all raise children, and we do it a lot.
Oil and gas on a personal basis than Albertans.
Well, yes, because we have an awful lot of PPE.
And I know some of you idiots going to go on about cell phone stuff. This can be made out of soy. I would tell you about the coltan inside, and gold and silver, and the child labor, and you won't mention that. You'll just go, oh, you're a hypocrite for this reason and this reason. Because of all your lies and barreling through things, this is the only phone I can get my hands on. You guys tried making cell phones out of plastic water bottles. Yeah, that's not really recycling, so I didn't buy one of those. Where's the polypropylene soy oil phone? That's a good question. But it's your fault it don't exist, since you are the people selling the oil products. telling me it's my fault. That's like saying I purchased a little bit of cocaine with my weed because you sprinkled some. If you took a gram of coke and sprinkled it on a pound of weed, and then you're calling me out for supporting the cocaine industry, or whatever, it's you. That's not me. I know that don't happen here, but.
And still a stalled truck on the West 401 Express past.
Oh.
Oakwood.
West of Oakwood.
Luxury and capability of the 2021 Range Rover Sport. Visit your local
Room for now to rejoin at the Sixes. The South 410 ramp to the Williams Parkway remains closed. That's because of an in-town collision on the Williams Parkway near the 410. And the Toronto-bound QEW at North Shore. Watch out for a stall in the right lane. Also only minor delays here. But a new problem spot in town. A crash investigation has Rogers Road closed west of Oakwood. Answer the call to adventure with the performance, luxury, and capability of the 2021 Range Rover Sport. Visit your local Land Rover authorized retailer for special limited time offers. I'm Ari Urbanovich, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto. Chopper traffic.
Order Pizza Bill's 2 pizza special. Get 2 large pizzas, 2 toppings combined for only $21. Contactless pickup or delivery available when you order, and prepay online at pizzabill.ca or on your Pizzaville app.
Just missed the top of the hour news? Get caught up in less than 60 seconds. Just add the flash briefing skill to Alexa, then set it to play 640 Toronto. And don't forget, you can listen to us live anytime by telling any smart speaker to play 640 Toronto.
You just did.
Your locally owned and operated Meineke Car Care Center is here to keep your car road ready. From tires and brakes to exhaust and engine repair, Meineke is your one-stop shop for total car care. For a limited time, get a basic oil change starting at $29.95 or a seasonal tire changeover starting at $49.95. Plus, you can buy now and pay later with our financing options. Book your appointment at Meineke.ca. Terms and conditions apply. Engine, brakes, tires, oil. Meineke, doing car care right.
The next lot of 649 jackpot is an estimated $27 million. What does it feel like to play for a prize that big? Well, just having your ticket feels a lot like that moment between. And
I counted to 28. 28-second delay.
And the interference is to
right. You're staying on sports. I don't know if it's a hockey game or what they're doing. It's got to be hockey.
Time to visit Monaghan Lumber. Design exceptional exteriors using quality windows and doors. Fashion new looks using pre-finished siding. Create more enjoyable spaces with our vast selection of decking and railing. Monaghan Lumber, king of the woods, your exterior project specialist.
Monaghan Lumber, king of the woods.
Hey, Cuckoo, what do you tell a teenager about cannabis?
Okay, I'm playing Haboot Canopy. Music.
Okay, Cuckoo, stop the music. Looking for tips on how to talk with your teens about cannabis? Visit drugfreekidscanada.org for more tools to help start the conversation. drugfreekidscanada.org.
Hello, I am water.
And I am earth, and we are just made for each other.
I come down as rain and hit on earth.
Together we make mud, sweet, beautiful mud.
Some find us challenging.
While all those Subarus with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive revel in our creation.
Mud, our special gift to the world. Enjoy Subaru's all-weather drive event with great rates on 2021 Subaru Foresters. Go online to build and price all weather. Get all the day's top news and information with Alan Carter and Farah Nasser. And your weather with meteorologist Anthony Farnell. Weeknights on Global News at 5:30 and 6. And download the Global TV app to get Global News for free anytime.
You're so creative, Chomo.
When you call a Dell Technologies advisor, you get to talk to a real person who can provide tailored solutions that fit every small business. They fit yours. That's what it means to really listen.
Yeah, I know.
For solutions powered by
you
Intel
dropped it
Pro
down,
platform,
but I didn't raise it up.
At 310
you raised it up and dropped it down yourself. But I don't care. This has nothing to do with me. But you see what you're doing? You're trying to jam up an app that I'm not using.
This is Counterpoint, brought to you by Pizzaville on Global News Radio.
8:20 here on this Wednesday, and it is time for round one of Counterpoint, brought to you by our friends at Pizzaville, 416-736-3636 or pizzaville.ca. We've got John Brands, former Liberal War Room Director, and Kim Wright, Principal at Wright Strategies. Hello, guys.
Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening, Bob. Today is the deadline for Line 5 being shut down.
Buddy, it's completely predictable
no
because you've done the same thing 250,000 times in a row.
Decided last minute that they would jump in with the court challenge. Michigan governor today threatened
you're going to push the thing up and down. That's good.
Seize the company's profits if it continues operating past Wednesday. James O'Regan was asked, why did it take so long to get in? And
you can't see the screen, and I know that because you're such a poor fucking excuse for a
It will take months to put into place. It will involve, thousands of 18-wheelers jamming up the 401, jamming up the water. It will involve boats having to take it up the St. Lawrence or through the Great Lakes. It will involve railway cars. It will be messy, it will be polluting, and it will be expensive.
Oh, that will be polluting.
It will not be as safe.
We can see the oil, so it's polluted.
The question, I think,
we can't see it. It's okay.
Why did you wait till like the 12th hour to push back?
It's a good question. I like to think I read a bit of the news and pay some attention to what's going on. And I mean, my first question, is there a line 1, 2, 3, and 4 I need to know about as well? Because I knew next to nothing about this until today. Maybe I wasn't paying attention.
Well, that's because you've been listening to me, because I've been talking about this for
I'm sorry.
No, she hasn't. She's lying.
She's
been arguing the white supremacist viewpoint of it over and over and over.
Now would be the time if Justin Trudeau wants to keep on pushing.
These are the same people that scream about the Chinese selling Japanese cars or whatever. Because they're all Vietcong, communists and Arabs and Muslims and all that, right?
And we don't need to add a trade war and an energy crisis in Canada to this boat that we're currently rowing through sludge anyway. So I'm learning about it. And
you're stupid then, because you've been fighting with us for 8 fucking years to burn our land down to get the oil.
As we all know, politics are all local.
Go back to Texas, pussy, and get your brain blown up.
And she's got to deliver, and nobody seemed to notice or care. And certainly, no noise has been made about this in any real way. I haven't met anybody since you sent me the job who knew anything about this. So you may, Alex, and I apologize for not listening to that bit.
So Jomo, every time Jomo sees me check to make sure there's audio,
I know it's unfortunate, Kim,
does
because
another
if this thing
salvo
is shut off,
thinks he's a genius.
50% of our energy in Ontario
I called it out
wiped out.
as it's happening.
No gas
still
Pearson
continues
Airport.
with it.
We'll have no gas stations. It's very consequential. And this thing has been in operation.
Remember, they didn't shut down the Colonial Pipeline, and yet all the gas stations are magically running out of gas, eh?
Joe Biden, but Joe so far has said, "Yeah, I'm not a go." You want anything to do with it?
Yeah, and he's also, his energy secretary is doing an event tomorrow with Governor Whitmer. So I don't think they'd be sharing a podium together if they were at loggerheads on this. Look, I will say this about the federal government's response on Line 5 and Seamus O'Regan's comments today. Slow clap, boys. Way to hand in your homework at the last minute here.
I thought Depot was bad, but Seamus always just outdoes him. I mean,
there's always a bit of a hold my beer moments with all of this, but this is a massive issue. And I grew up in southwestern Ontario. This is a massive jobs, economic. The Ohio Chamber of Commerce earlier today came out in support of Line 5. This means a lot of jobs and economic viability. You pointed out, Alex, and rightly so, that, if we were all flying again, this would have wiped out the ability for anyone to fly in or out of Pearson Airport. Their entire facilities would be detrimental. At the end of this, that will also impact what happens with our packages.
Now that's funny because we send oil to the U.S.
Heat and fuel.
Our oil comes in on the East Coast on boats and gets here on trains. So what the fuck are they talking about? I watch them every day. On this channel, put the fucking word oil train in the search for this channel. You'll find half a dozen videos of oil trains. Because I didn't know I needed to make more.
On the horizon. I hope I'm wrong, because this is a massive problem for Canada.
Yeah, people don't know how much they need pipelines until all the lights go off and they go, what? Huh? Oh, pipelines are good. Well, nonetheless, maybe we will get energy east. It is a cute slogan, but this Windows summer Trudeau's fall, or as I say, fail, seems to suggest that
we're going to someday go, oh, pipelines are good. When have you ever seen us say that? When have you seen First Nations ever see things your way, bitch? 513 years, and we still don't see things your way.
Except the substandard vaccine delivery. But Doug Ford, who came out of hiding today, was asked, like, when are we getting some freedom? What's it look like? And what's the plan? And here was his response.
To limit mobility, make sure everyone stays at home.
Jomo's going to do his salvo
in other
thing
cases,
again.
if they go out, everyone has to wear a mask. I understand that. The good news is numbers are leveling off. So the protocol and the guidelines are working. And I listen to everyone, but I listen
See how he said it's not going down? He said it's leveling off.
He believes that people need to limit mobility. They need to stay home.
Why'd you yell order?
Maybe you should stop listening to Dr. Williams, John.
I don't know what to do with any of this. I mean, when I heard one go,
see how she just pretended this guy who hadn't spoken yet agreed with it.
At university, but anyway.
The drunken white girl, it doesn't matter what I do laugh. She's going to give us every fucking soundbite today. Watch.
Anyway, so that's what I do. But
I've heard that snickering when white people are trying to beat up a black person, and I come up from behind and grab the bitch. I think I'm fucking joking. I've heard that giggle before.
The before time that we had freedom. Of course, we should listen to science and scientists, of course, except the scientists seem to be living in a single silo where they're disregarding that the cure is now worse than disease and bankruptcy and a class, that there's a tension on the streets, people got no dough, they're sick of not being free, mental illness. People I know, who are the most stable people I know, are admitting that they are having tough days, depressions at an all-time
The
high.
most stable people he knows are alcoholics and crackheads. Cokeheads, my bad, because they're almost different, aren't they?
With an economy and with an entire crew of kids and adults and seniors who are going to take years to recover from
So we have already been told by the vaccinologists, statistically, the vaccine is more dangerous.
Not inside. That's where you get COVID. Be outside. Look at Texas. Look at Florida. I can't believe I'm saying that. Get people.
These same people would pretend that 1/3 of people that get hepatitis and don't know where they got it from must be lying.
Playing basketball.
But they're white people.
That's where you should be. Doug, stop hiding. Get outside. I'd be outside that guy's house.
So then the prime minister, he keeps saying when he's asked about, AstraZeneca and some of the issues around it, his talking point is, Kim, that all vaccines are safe. But he was asked in question period, are people going to get their second shot? And he said that his doctor told him last week he should get the second shot, which of course would make him jump in the queue because he still has a couple more months to wait. But here was his answer.
I don't believe that politicians should be delivering health advice, but the best advice that I have heard from my doctor and others is that people who've received one dose of AstraZeneca can very well get a second and should very well get a second dose of AstraZeneca.
They should, but Kim, the problem is there's not enough supply. There's 850,000 people in Ontario alone who got the AZ shot. And frankly, as far as I'm concerned, you told me to get this shot. I got the shot, and that's the only other shot I want. I don't want to mix. I don't want to play guinea pig for anybody.
Yeah, we're not talking about doing Niagara
As far as I'm concerned, you told me to get the shot. Completely shifting responsibility for our own health care.
By this, and I think most Ontarians and Canadians get frustrated because we get told one sort of thing, and then 5 minutes later get told something completely different. I was one of the people who got the AstraZeneca vaccine a few weeks back, and I'll probably get a second dose whenever I can.
If you can.
In reality,
if you can.
But I'll get whatever dose is available to me because I want to get back to a normal life. I want to get back to concerts.
No connection between the two things. There is zero connection between the two things. I want what's normal. Well, raping children is considered normal in your culture. And all the people that say it's not, you keep trying to kill.
So I watch a lot of American television, and you don't go
it's documented.
5
on this
seconds
channel.
on U.S. television without seeing a pharma ad that has 8 bajillion health risks, including blood clots and all sorts of other things. It's just
you're an expert here in Canada, but you're going to talk all about United States cable TV,
and
right?
then, you know, hearing about these blood clot lists, I looked at what does my birth control do in terms of the same sort of risk. It's massive. You know, and these numbers? Kinds of things. We're cool with that. So Ontarians want to know, when am I getting a vaccine? Can you roll this out? Do I have to stop playing Hunger Games and just watching Vaccine Hunters Canada to figure out how I can get a vaccine?
See how they relate themselves? Oh, it's just like we're brown and starving and white people are shitting on us. No, it's not.
They should have figured that out.
You're white. Stop pretending.
Yesterday from Dr. Williams and throughout the course of this conversation, which is...
And that's the only thing they learned from Hunger Games, too. They completely missed the point.
It's supply chain management. And those things should not be what the chief medical officer of health.
You left out the M. It's military supply chain management.
Go back to some of the things Dr. Williams has said. And you didn't do before Thanksgiving, when everyone was like, "Are we going to shut down for Thanksgiving? Like, are we going to be locked down?" The only thing you have to worry about for Thanksgiving is not cooking your turkey properly because you're going to get salmonella. Like, can we just get somebody new here? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know, the talking point laughing at her joke.
Has always been the first
I'm laughing at how they're trying to change the subject.
Vaccine for you, John. It's all marketing and kitschy, but the first dose, we took the first dose. I got the AZ shot, and it's not the best dose apparently. But I'm now worried, like millions of others. I don't want anything other than that dose now.
But you're blaming someone else for why you took the shot.
Epidemiology and virology. It seems there are a lot of doctors around the world who say any combination of doses is fine.
Because what you're asking them is, will it kill you? And the answer is no.
Well, there are no studies. This is all new.
There's literally a study that came out today by the UK, and it's a small study, and it says, you know, you can have some effects. That's all we know. Again, the
but the tinfoil hat crew are now sort of suggesting, well, they want you to get the Pfizer and the Moderna because that's different technology, and it'll affect your 5G phone, and that's what this is all, et cetera, et cetera. The inconsistency,
etc. Thanks for mispronouncing that Latin word, sir.
People to be
set of words. You're right. It's 2 words.
Suspicious of all of these authority figures. I don't know whether we should get a new scientist. I talked to lots of doctors. None of them seem to agree on any of this. But I do know doctors I know got the AZ shot. They're happy to take another one or a different one. So,
yeah, I'm happy to take the same one that I got, and until
he just told her doctors say it doesn't matter. She's going to go off like he agreed with her.
Quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about reopening classes. Ottawa
I'm not tuning into 680 because it's the hockey game.
Rooms in late May, which is a miracle. I hope we're thinking that way. And we'll also talk about why 88,000 people have not had to quarantine, as the Trudeau government insists they are doing. So we'll talk about that. Stay with us here. Alex Pearson on Point. Round 2 of Counterpoint next here on Global News Radio.
Hello! Hello! Wow! Yeah, what do you think?
Scott McGilvery does whatever it takes.
I'm going to turn their problems into profit.
To increase the potential
I've had some time to opine about the design
of your rental.
You're totally going to fall for this. 3, 2, 1.
That is incredible!
Oh, this is what you paid for, the view.
Scott's Vacation House Rules. New season Sunday on HGTV. Also available on Stack TV.
Hey, it's John Oakley. If you're like me, seeing leftover leaves and garbage from the winter drives you nuts, well, that's what I saw in my place, so I didn't waste any time. I jumped onto the Jiffy app to book a yard cleanup. They were at my place that afternoon and left my yard looking like a golf course. I even decided to make a full day of it, just booked the window and barbecue cleaning at the same time. Simple. Just download the Jiffy app or sign up at jiffyondemand.com and use the code AM640 for $25 off your first job. Not bad, eh? Jiffy. Fast and reliable home maintenance for less.
If you have pain, see Dr. Lou Nally. Go to Pinpoint Health Clinic.
Pinpoint Health is there for all your pain care needs, including chiropractic, physio, and massage therapy. Call Dr. Lou now at Pinpoint Health, 1-855-55-DRLOU, or visit pinpointhealth.ca.
Don't miss the Pinpoint Health Show with Dr. Lou every Saturday morning at 11. And for answers anytime, call 1-855-55-DR-LOU or pinpointhealth.ca.
Monte Carlo,
Hi, I'm Laura Padonin, Quality Control Manager at Monte Carlo Inns. Never has it been more important to support local. And at Monte Carlo Inns, we are very proud of our Made in Canada brand. So whenever you're ready, come visit us and check out our newly renovated suites, meeting rooms, restaurants, and enhanced safety protocols. We look forward to welcoming you to your home away from home. For more information, visit MonteCarloInns.com.
Paying off a mortgage is slow, but it doesn't have to be this slow. Tangerine starts you off with an easy online application and quick approval, and offers low upfront rates with the option of upping your regular payments and making lump sum prepayments of up to 25% each year. So paying off your mortgage can be really super fast. Whew. Well, at least faster. Tangerine, forward banking.
Elevators. They're not something we give much thought to, but when they're not operating correctly, it can cause serious disruptions. That's why CEE Elevator will set up a maintenance program to minimize or eliminate unnecessary downtime. During these pandemic times, your elevator needs to operate efficiently. With 24/7 service, CEE Elevator has offered the best customer service in the business for over 40 years now. Get a free quote at 905-428-8300 or visit ceeelevator.com.
Ontario's COVID-19 vaccine plan is helping to stop the spread and save lives. Until we're all vaccinated, we need to stay the course. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance. We've come so far together, and thousands of people across Ontario are getting vaccinated every day. Your turn is coming soon. Visit ontario.ca/COVID vaccine plan or call 1-888-999-6488 for assistance in 300 languages. Paid for by the Government of Ontario.
We're going to make your windows twinkle. We're going to make your gutters sparkle. We're going to make your driveways, decks, and sidewalks glow. Twinkle, sparkle, and glow. Oh, those gutters are going to flow. Shack Shine washes windows. Shack Shine cleans gutters. Shack Shine power washes driveways, decks, and sidewalks. And boy, oh boy, do we do Christmas lights. Shack Shine. It would take you 7 Saturdays to do what Shack Shine can do in just a few hours. House detailing by Shack Shine.
ShackShine.com.
Welcome back to Counterpoint, brought to you by Pizzaville on Global News Radio.
8:37 here on this very busy Wednesday. It is round 2 of Counterpoint, brought to you by our friends at Pizzaville, 416-736-3636, or pizzaville.ca. We got John Mraz and Kim Wright weighing in on the day's headlines, and go figure, almost a third of all air travelers coming to this country, 88,000 people, have somehow been allowed to skip the mandatory stay in the Trudeau government-approved quarantine hotels. That is a rate of exemption from the controversial control measures that I think, Kim, undermine the public health goals. I mean, if everyone's exempted from something that's supposed to keep threats out, then it's not a quarantine.
No, it's not. And look, this thing was mishandled and misguided from the beginning. There were always going to be what was very easily foretold issues on these quarantine hotels, whether it was from the security measures, the rollout of it, some of the assaults that have happened, all sorts of challenges that were ill thought out. And, you know, I keep hearing this thing, Alex, people saying, well, it's a new virus, it's a new situation, it's a global pandemic, we haven't had one of these before. And I will give people credit that for the first 6 months, 8 months of this, but we're on what, month 18, 15, whatever it is. For the love of goodness, can we stop saying this is a whole new situation? No, you're just being lazy, not figuring out the policy, not having people in a room that say, okay, so here are the practical implications. And how do we roll this stuff out, whether it's vaccines, whether it's these hotels. You know, I've often said, get a whole bunch of, you know, campaign hacks in a room and we'll tell you how to get distributions into disadvantaged neighborhoods and talk to different people in different languages, different economics, all of it. And we'll get this thing sorted out in probably about 10 minutes. But nobody's doing that. And this is where it becomes really head scratching for the general public. And it undermines the credibility every time they want to bring new things forward because they've just mismanaged everything all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Blair all along, John, has always insisted that they've got the strictest border measures anywhere in the world. It's just not true, period. End of discussion. It just isn't true.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether we do or we don't. I want to know what you have to say. Like, just you just say it's cool, I'm good. It's all right.
I think, as I understand it, a lot of people just say, I'll take the ticket. Because they don't think they're going to have to pay it, you know?
Or do you say, I'm rich, I've got a home I can live in of my own with a staff? I mean, is that something that works?
No.
Or I'm an oppressed minority of... I don't know what the magic words for the 88,000 were. I'd like to see, if they are getting tickets, I'd like to see, or call them, seeing as we're big on statistics now, none of which I believe ever, I'd like to see the income stream from those 88,000. That'd be great. But the bottom line is maybe we won't have gas for people flying in and out anyway, so problem solved.
It's all very true. You make a very, very good point there. Meanwhile, and I think you'll feel some warm fuzzies about this, John, the Ford government is not ruling out reopening schools for in-person classes in June in the areas with low COVID rates. But, of course, the concern is about community spread. But then I'm reading in the paper, in the last couple of hours that Ottawa is looking to get the kids back to school by end of May. I am so desperate to get my son back in some kind of education in person, just for his mental stability at this point. Put them outside. I don't care what you do, but get those in low risk areas back in school.
Yeah, my son struggles as anybody would. I mean, this is jail for a teenager, 13, and I'd be lying. Yeah, he's 13, and I'd be lying. I remember being 13 and what I wanted to do when I was 13 as a young man. And I'd be lying if I said this has not been a life-changing event for him, and if he is challenged in a myriad of ways. I'm not going to get too personal, but we worry about him. We want him back out. We want him back out socializing. We want peer pressure. I can't believe this. I would like for him to be in an environment where he's competing with people in a classroom and socializing with them, liking them or not, but interacting, as opposed to convening with his little cabal of online friends. Because what else are we allowed theoretically to have him do? Yeah. A lot of parents are terrified to do, groups or sleepovers or whatever. Get him out to the park. But man, it would be great if he had to go to school every day again.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing in our house, Kim, I hear every day is, I hate COVID. I hate COVID. When can I see my friends? When can I go back? I mean, they're just some kind of normal. It has to be brought back to these kids.
I mean, I'm hearing that from grown-ups, let alone I can't imagine what it's like for kids, and especially those kids who were transferring to a new school, either going to high school or moving or what have you. They haven't had an opportunity to develop new friends at all. Let alone,
because kids don't know how to use computers. It's you've been telling them friends on the internet aren't real.
If everyone from the minister and the ministry and the teachers unions and the medical officer of health can sort of put aside their crankiness and figure this out, because I think there are opportunities, whether it's outdoor learning, you take over the soccer field and you set these kids up, or, any up with. I know there's some challenges, especially for if you're going to bus kids and for inclement weather, but
that was a gunshot. But anyway, so these people laughed about taking away kids' cell phones. They're addicted. They're addicted while this person is snorting coke, drinking wine, and smoking cigarettes. But all they do it when they're drunk, and I don't let my kids see me that way. That's why your kids can't figure out what's wrong with you. So if you're from the hood or a trailer park or some certain city neighborhoods, where you'll know what the fuck I'm talking about when whatever there is with your homeboy's mom, you don't say nothing about it. That's his, or dad or whatever. That's his business to deal with. Right? You say, nobody knows, and my kids don't see it. Yes, they do. So they used to try this. Get outside. Get outside. Somehow it's just better, because in their day it was like this and that. And on Gunsmoke, I learned that Indians are like this. And on Dragnet, I learned that the law says that. None of that's true. In Norway, it was determined, or no, was it Norway or Sweden? Doesn't matter. The Nordic countries, it was determined that by the courts, taking away your kid's cell phone is child abuse, because they live hundreds of kilometers away from their friends. It's the only way they can talk to them. So that I'll take it away. No, you won't. So this shit about, let's just tune back in for a second. They argued against that and laughed at that. And when I said what I had to say about it, they shut up again. So yes, up here in Canada, I get watched a lot by the people that work in the media, and the ones that disregard what I say, they don't work in the media long. We can play this back and forth game all you want, but you will be held accountable for your words. I will only be held accountable for mine. But if you completely disregard what I'm saying, you will not be in the media long in this city, in this country. Okay, it's just one big city.
But all lanes are reopened here. That crash is long gone. Now we still have the trouble spot on the Toronto-bound QEW at North Shore. Reports of a stall in the right lane, also very minor delays. The southbound 10 ramp to the Williams Parkway, that's also still closed due to an in-town collision. And another one we're dealing with is a closure of Rogers Road west of Oakwood, closed here for a crash. Answer the call to adventure with the performance, luxury, and capability of the 2021 Range Rover Sport. Visit your local Land Rover authorized retailer for special limited time offers. I'm Ari Urbanovich, Global News Radio, 640 Toronto, Chopper Traffic.
Spring is finally here, and Good Food cooked up a great deal for you. Get 8 free meals in your first 2 Good Food orders. That's 4 free meals per order. It's the perfect time to spruce up your dinner routine with our variety of easy recipes with fresh local ingredients, and get free contactless delivery. To get your 8 free meals from Canada's #1 meal kit company, go to makegoodfood.ca and redeem your offer with promo code SPRING8. Limited time offer, new members only.
We are Toronto's news talk leader.
When it comes to just, I guess, fatigue, burnout, how are nurses doing?
It's beyond fatigue. They're exhausted. They're very worried. And this has been a very long and a very intense year. So the whole system is so burdened. And I would say it was avoidable.
Jeff MacArthur, weekdays at 1 p.m. or anytime from Apple and Spotify podcasts. We are 640 Toronto.
The next Lotto 649 jackpot is an estimated $27 million. What does it feel like to play for a prize that big? Well, just having your ticket feels a lot like that moment between. And so get that 649 feeling. Buy your ticket today to feel the anticipation that comes with a chance to win a jackpot of an estimated $27 million, plus the guaranteed $1 million prize.
The Real Money Show with Guildhall Wealth Management comes your way every Saturday at 1 p.m., bringing you information on physical gold and silver as an investment strategy. And coming up, discussions will center on the fact that there is very limited available product, but prices have not yet taken off. As of yet, that is. Listen this week to find out what to expect and how to profit in the precious metals market. Listen every Saturday at 1 p.m. or for info anytime, call 1-877-8-SILVER or go to guildhallwealth.com.
Have you ever been arrested, charged, or fingerprinted by the police for holding, smoking, or using cannabis? Now that cannabis has been decriminalized in Canada, receiving a full pardon can be as simple as contacting Pardons Canada or visiting pardons.org and requesting your record to be removed. And if you act now, your application and pardon process may be 100% free, courtesy of the Flower Corporation. So contact Pardons Canada today by calling 647-557-8864 or visiting pardons.org today.
Hello, I am water.
And I am earth, and we are just made for each other.
I come down as rain and hit on earth.
Together we make mud. Sweet, beautiful mud.
Some find us challenging.
While all those Subarus with symmetrical full-time all-wheel drive revel in our creation.
Mud, our special gift to the world. Enjoy Subaru's all-weather drive event with great rates on 2021 Subaru Foresters. Go online to build and price yours and adventure on in all weather.
Do you want to order some food?
On time or free?
Okay, sounds good. What are you in the mood for?
On time or free?
Yeah, I know. Some of these delivery services are a bit slow, but...
On time or free?
Oh, pizza!
On time or free?
Yep, that's a good call. At Pizza, your order is on time or it's free. On time or free. That's Pizza.
967-1111. On time or free, we guarantee. Order Pizza. Hey. Welcome back to On Point with Alex Pearson on Global News Radio.
49 here on this very busy Wednesday.
Don't get it twisted. This woman raises a lot of points I agree with.
At large, Glenn
I get very frustrated with
joining me now. A couple of headlines. I caught this late in the day, Glenn, and you know who Chrissy Teigen is, right?
Yeah, it's John Legend's wife.
Okay, there you go. In other words, she's famous for being married to someone famous, because I really don't know. I'm trying to figure out what her talent is, but she's kind of like someone who...
She's a model, media, like a personality, but all in all, I know her because she's married to John Legend. That's how I know her.
Yeah. And so she has issued a public apology to someone named Courtney Stodden. And again, who? This is a reality star who at the age of 16 was married off to a 50-year-old man and then got crucified kind of relentlessly in the media for it. And they are now divorced. But she went to, a magazine, and during the interview, she alleged that Teigen...
And did I not just say on some things I agree with this woman, even though I get fucking upset with
kill themselves, with one of those messages telling this young gal to take a dirt nap. And she's apologized now. I don't think she's going to get canceled, but, there is a case here in Canada, 15-year-old Amanda Todd. You might recall the story. It was very high profile at the time. She hanged herself at her home in BC, and her death was caused by alleged cyberbullying. Her case changed cyberbullying laws in this country, and a Danish man is now facing charges and is being extradited to Canada for charges for his alleged bullying in her
There's another girl that died in Nova Scotia, on the East Coast.
She can just
Pretty sure it's Nova
apologize
Scotia.
and it goes away. But it is a real problem with cyberbullying.
Yeah, no, I agree on almost all counts you said. Cyberbullying has been growing in my entire life. I've seen it go from being minuscule to the trolls that we have on the internet now that are, like you said, forcing a 15-year-old girl to commit suicide. When it comes to Chrissy Teigen,
which kills more people than war and murder combined.
Any real fire from this because she's famous. She's rich. She's famous. She comes from a powerful family in Hollywood. And that, it's just her, John, and the kids, really. But we're not going to see much happen to this, and that's a real problem to me because we can't expect any real meaningful change to happen if some of the biggest, most public faces that are involved in cyberbullying are just able to kind of give a really quick apology and then we just forget about it. It's kind of disgusting.
Well, she did quit Twitter a few weeks back, and I think it was probably because she knew that this story was coming out. She had said at the time it was just too stressful, but now she's back on Twitter, and I'm just thinking there's two sets of rules. Because normally, if this were someone, let's say, on the right, they'd be canceled already.
Without a hesitation. And that's what I mean when I kind of said it in the beginning. This is John Legend's wife. We're not going to see anything happen to her because everyone likes John Legend. And he's seen as a nice guy. She's seen as a nice woman. Even with
she's seen as his property.
She's going to get a pass.
That's the truth of it.
It's honestly a damn shame because we can't expect